makes it a little bit more complicated. You think
Mm,
you're, and I think the more you consume, the worse it is for
100%.
me. Like you think you're progressing by consuming, oh, let me just watch this video, oh, let me save this. But actually you're not, because you're not implementing it. You're just getting like you're
Right.
falling backwards.
And what
And
you're
I think
doing
I
is,
think I've been there.
yeah, and what you're doing is if you think about this, they've done studies on this where they have customizable options. And they say the best number of things, the best number to have is three options. And people
Mm,
all the time, they've done studies on this. People think, I think it was like, no, I think it was like under eight. I think that's what it was. It was like under eight options was the best for an ice cream shop, right?
mm,
They went under eight flavors. And people go, oh, but I like this obscure flavor and I like this obscure flavor. And they ran a test where they had one with eight flavors, they had one with 33 flavors. Now,
mm.
which one do you think had more foot traffic?
Mm. The
Don't
they
don't try to guess it. Like, what would you go into? Hey, we've got eight flavors. Hey, we have 33 flavors. That's the only thing you know. What would you go into?
33.
33.
yeah.
What do you think had more purchases?
The three?
The eight. Because
Oh,
they were like 33, I can't pick. There's too many options. Eight, they would settle. They would even settle. Ah, I guess I'll go with vanilla. But they would settle. Why? Because there's fewer options. So the big problem with it's this
mm,
weird dichotomy. You don't know what you don't know, so you have to go out and research. But then if you know too much, what happens is now you have 33 options to pick from. And
mm,
so what I try to do with everyone's kickoff calls when you come in is I try to say, listen, here's your flavor of ice cream. Attack this. Don't do anything else. Because what I find with most entrepreneurs that come in is the following situation, right? And you guys let me know if I'm completely off. But this is what I see with most people who come in. They come in, they go, I'm an entrepreneur. I go, how do you know you're an entrepreneur? Like, how do you know you want to do this? And they say their background. They explain how they have great ideas that their boss, most of the time, eight, 9 out of 10 times didn't encourage. And they're like, I could just do this myself and I could do it better than my boss. Maybe 1 out of 10 times the boss encouraged it and they're like, oh, why it's time for me to go make my own money, right? But they go on, they've learned that they were, entrepreneurial minded in terms of I can solve problems really well in this job, in the structure they've given me, right? Then they go out and do it on their own. There's no structure. They fall apart. And then what happens is I come along and I say something. Again, this is the same thing with the coaching, with the sales coaching guy, right? Think about how stupid this is. I come along and I say, hey, I'm going to force you. I'm gonna require you to only do this one thing. I'm going to put you in a box. And everyone goes, I don't want to be put in a box. I'm going to put you in this box. And what happens? Oh, I'm having more calls. Oh, I'm having more sales calls. Oh, I'm having because what happens is when you get put into structure, you start realizing there's no left and right. There's only up or down, right? And it's again, think about how frustrating it is. Like I know how frustrating it is because I've been there where it's like, what do I pick? It's like, but if somebody just came along and told you this is what you have to do, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, you would then become the best at it. That's why most people are want to be entrepreneurs. I remember I was at U-Haul in college. Does that sound like the greatest industry? No. I was the top salesperson as a part-time employee. Because when you put me in a box of, hey, this is the job you're working, I excelled. Put me on phones selling. I was the top salesperson. And what's funny is I had the worst metric. I had one of the worst metrics. They said you have the longest on-call time average. Your average call was 8 minutes and 50 seconds. And they're like, that's not good. I'm like, okay, but that's not good. But my conversions are, it was like 52% would book their classes. And then of that 52, 47%, 48% would register for classes right there. That's cash lock in. So 25% of the time I would close a deal when I picked up the phone. Best metrics, but they're complaining about the wrong metrics, right? They're complaining about the on time, on the on call time, right? So that's not to say Alec is good at that. It's to say everybody probably has a story just like that where you probably were put in a box to do something that maybe you weren't, it wasn't like the dream passion, and yet you nailed it. And then you're like, oh, what if I did this with something I actually cared about? And then it's like, okay, cool, we'll pick something you actually care about. And then what happens? Freeze, right? That's why the easiest thing I say is, okay, well, if you know somebody who's in this space, like let that be your niche. Why? Because the niche doesn't matter. The space doesn't matter. If you don't have a passion, that's fine. For me, that's something I always struggle with. It's like, Alex doesn't have a passion. And I was like, well, how do I overcome like not having a passion? I'm not like crazy for lawnmowers. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I walked outside, get the landscaper. I'm like, hey, I don't want to pay for to mow my lawn. That's it. That was like literally like think about how lazy of an excuse that is. I just don't want to pay to mow my lawn. And I was like, you don't want to build your website, obviously, because your website is non-existent. What if we did that? Boom, great. Stay in there. That's it. It's literally like um it's almost like the really dumb people almost succeed better because they don't question it. And then what happens is as you get more intelligent, you start questioning everything. And then what's funny is when you reach here's one thing to like really mess with your guys' heads. When you reach peak intelligence, when you reach peak intelligence, you go, I know I can overthink this, but if I just move forward, I'll get results better than if I stay here overthinking it. So let me just move forward and risk embarrassing myself. And what's funny is there's like the little flow chart, like the bell curve. You guys know the bell curve illustration? It's like on the far left, which is like the lowest intelligent. It's like move forward, action oriented, don't think. All in the middle is overthinking, analysis process. And then you get to the far right, which is like the top intelligence, and they go move forward, take action, don't think. It's like the same thing. Like the really smart people are practically doing the same thing that the really dumb people are doing.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time. Like, how many people have you seen? You're like, wow, that guy, that lady is a complete idiot. And yet they're running a successful business. And it's like, wow, like
Mm.
these guys get money and this guy's so dumb. I'm smarter than him. It's like, you might be smarter than him. The difference is that he's taking more action than you are. She's taking more action than you are. She's so dumb. He's so dumb that they don't realize how dumb they look. And then that becomes their advantage. And what does the really wise person do? The really wise person says, I'm going to look dumb. I may as well just embrace it because there's no ifs, ands, buts, ways about it. It's everybody in the middle. It's everybody in the middle. So if you're doing really well, you're probably really dumb or really smart. And that's okay. Because even if you're really dumb, you're doing better than the people in the middle who are overthinking everything. All the yappers.
Yeah. It's true.
So the hardest thing to really get through people's mind is like or like you guys know anybody familiar with Andy Elliott? I'm not a fan, but anybody familiar with Andy Elliott,
Yeah.
car salesman? He's the guy who's like, if we threatened your family right now, would you sell 150 cars in 5 minutes? And they're like, I would, please, not my child. Right?
Yeah.
What's again, I think he's a complete idiot. I'm pretty sure he has like literal fraud charges against him before he like changed his name. But why is he so successful? Because he's just we can say he's super smart, we can say he's super dumb. He just moved forward. He didn't even care about like past mistakes, nothing. Just move forward. But what's interesting is like one of the things I cover in the training, and I was covering this really heavily a few months ago, was I told everybody you have to find a deep rooted, painful why, a painful reason that you're doing this. Like if you're like think about this, right? If you're like and for the people who've made it happen before, it's an easier conversation. So like if you've made like 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 a month or more, I can just say, hey, we're gonna set this up so you can make the same results in less time or scale it up. And they usually go, great, because they've already seen the pain that goes behind doing the business, right? They've already like had those moments to themselves of grinding their first 5K, 10K, 20K, right? The um for the newer person who hasn't yet gone there, I always tell them like you've got to connect this to a painful why because you have it has to drive you. Like again, think about Alec, right? And again, I understand this is like a really over dramatized example, but I did not want to pay for lawn care. And my wife was like, "You will either mow the lawn." Like basically, she said, "You're gonna mow the lawn. We're not paying for that. If you can just mow the lawn on Saturdays, like why would we not do that?" So I'm like, okay, I have a month. I asked my wife, I said, how long do I have? She's like, you've got a month. I said, I have a month to make this guy mow my lawn for free. So is that the same as Alec, you're not putting food on the table? No, that's not at all. But I had a timeline and it wasn't like, I had the time to kind of like think around, right? And if you guys read 80/20 Principle, again, one of the best books you can read. There's two books I give a 10 out of 10. 80/20 Principle is one of them. By I'm not even gonna say his last name. Richard Koch. If someone knows how to pronounce that, Adrian, maybe you can help me out. You're in Australia, right? You're on the
Yes,
all right.
yes, yes, sir.
How do you pronounce Koch?
Car
I
for
don't see
sure.
it.
I'll put it in the chat. Koch because I had another
Is it
Australian.
Isn't it just
Koch?
poke?
See, I thought it was Coke.
Oh,
Maybe
That's
maybe
what
I
I
was
thought too.
wrong. Maybe I'm now saying it how the way he said it. Yeah, that's how it's spelled. I'm gonna say Coke. We're just gonna say that. Okay, we're all gonna pretend that we
Yeah.
collectively agree that's how it's pronounced. If the guy corrects me and he's like personally tells me how to pronounce his name, I'm gonna tell him, hey, you're wrong. We agreed. The council agreed. This is how to pronounce your name.
I, I ask Heather those
So
sort of
you said
questions.
ask. Oh yeah, yeah. It's pronounced Coke. Okay, perfect. There we go. So yeah, but 80/20 principle, really, really good read. And what's interesting is he says if you want to make a decision, he says take the amount of time you think you have and give yourself 20% of that time. He's like cut out the time to overthink. He's like uh you've got 30 minutes to make a decision, give yourself 5. He's like, give yourself less time because the more time you give, then you try to keep buying more and more time. I remember in high school, anybody did this in high school, you'd wait till the night before to write a paper, and then you'd write the most beautiful paper ever. And then if you try to write the paper like on time, it would always be like the worst paper you ever wrote. I remember that I'd write a paper like I remember I tried to be proactive once, and it was like write a high school paper. It was like for English or something. It's due next month. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have it done this week. Worst grade I ever got. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'd write a paper the night before, B plus, A minus, A plus every time. I'm like, oh, okay. When you add that pressure, you clear everything else out and you become more effective than efficient. And that's what he covers in the book. He's like, give yourself less time. He's like, that's something that they found that they didn't expect they would find. When you're
Wow.
trying, when you're
I
trying to make
didn't
those
know that. That's
decisions,
interesting.
it's
Because
very interesting. Yeah.
that's how I feel. Like when I'm up against it, I perform better.
Yeah. So he basically says like, just recreate that same environment and give
Mm,
yourself way less time.
okay. I thought there was something wrong with that. Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I think most people who are like self-proclaimed entrepreneurs are probably like that way, where it's like, stress hits and it's like you do very well under stress. And it's almost like you don't do well if there's not stress. And because there's not stress, you're not doing well. But the minute stress comes
Mm,
in, all of a sudden you're a top player.
mm, yeah.
And so it's like, how can you kind of recreate that productivity or that space? And so he basically says, like, give yourself less time to make those kind of decisions.
Mm, interesting.
But what questions do we have? Hit me with questions. I want you guys like really making this for you. This is a group for you guys. So Heather, what's up?
I have a question. Hopefully it's a really simple answer. We have a client who wants to use our reviews and reputation, like asking for Google reviews sequence, and to get people into that automation. They want to be able to just have a form that they can access to put the client's name and email address in,
Hmm.
and maybe choose like a category for that client so that it could be tagged in high level.
Hmm.
Is there like a snap that's easier to import that I can customize to get me started or?
I would say, so is that how they're coming into the system to begin with? Like, are they coming in strictly through the form? Like, there's no pipeline, there's no nothing else?
Yep.
Okay, what CRM are they using to handle their jobs?
It's called Ivy. It's an Australian events management platform.
Okay.
IVY.
Okay, do we know if they have any like open API connected to Zapier, Integromat, any of that, or
I think
Make?
they can, but we're not talking about huge numbers. So they might have like 2 or 3 a week that they want to
Yeah.
manually put in from their
So with Zapier,
reception.
you actually get a free account for limited usage and one-time automations. So you could still do that to
Yeah, we've,
where,
we've we've had that discussion with them, and they want to just keep it really simple to start with and
okay.
enter via a form.
So what you would do then is you would create a form or survey.
Yep.
And what you would do is I prefer drop downs over radiuses. I don't know if it's like the aesthetic. I personally think like this is gonna sound like I build things for like really dumb people, starting with myself. So
Yep.
if I know I can use it, I know my client is safe. So what I'll do is I'll do drop downs because with radius, sometimes like, was this circle for that one or that one? So I'm like, just do the drop down. So I do a drop down. And what I do for the drop down is I would say, so first you have let's say you're in survey pages, right? So page one would be first name, last name, and then maybe contact information, right? Email, phone, consent
Yep.
box. And then the next one would be page two would be industry specific. So maybe it'd be company name, industry, and then you could have a drop down of industries. I'm assuming there's probably a finite number of industries that they're working with. Even if it's blue
Yeah,
collar.
they just want to allocate them as per what kind of events that they are
Yeah, you could do that
booking.
too. Yeah, so
Yeah,
maybe it's like
yeah,
one-time event or this specific event or this kind of member. Actually, one of my
yeah,
first clients was a nonprofit that did events, and we did something like that. So whatever
yeah,
event they came into, there's a form that would add that tag.
yeah,
And then once they go in there, so again, first name, last name, contact, phone, email, page two, company name, event type that they visited, and then maybe you could put in like additional notes, like do you want to add any contact notes for this person, right?
yeah.
I always like doing that because it's we're using a CRM, and I think that's one of the most slept on things is like those notes. If you
Mm.
guys don't know, like anybody, let me get some people who are comfortable showing their age. Anybody remember like the Rolodexes? The hand slowly goes up. No, I'm teasing. All right, on the Rolodex, uh, the Rolodex, Stephanie is like, oh, okay. I was about to say, I don't know if I don't know if they had those in Singapore. I don't know if you guys, maybe the tech was like better over there than what we got. But the Rolodex is like, what information would you have on the Rolodex?
Yeah.
You would have their name, contact, and then what else would you have? Company name. Like aside from their details, what else would you have on the Rolodex? Here, I'll do one for the younger guys. Anybody seen The Office? The show The Office, where Michael Scott has his Rolodex.
I don't remember that episode, but I've definitely watched The Office.
Okay, go back and watch it because yeah, that's the Rolodex what Stephanie put in the chat. So Michael Scott, this is actually pretty funny. He has a Rolodex, and somebody comes in to like take over his job, and they're using his Rolodex. And there's a scene where I can't remember what it is. I think it's like oh yeah, he says something like it's the contact's name and it says like his son, right? It has the son's name of the contact and he highlights it in green and he says gay son and he highlights it in green. And the guy's like, "Oh, he's reading off his Rolex." He's like, "Oh yeah, and how's your gay son doing?" And the phone hangs up and he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Green means go ahead and don't talk about it." And he's like, "What?" But it's like his personal information about the contact and it's like all the notes on how to handle it when you speak to them, right? So for example, it might be like Robert works in a cleaning business with his parents. So when I follow up with him and I say, "Hey, Robert, like how's mom and dad doing and how's that thing going?" He's gonna say it might be just small talk, but subconsciously he might be like, "Oh wow, he remembered that." So that's the whole point of the
Yeah,
Rolodex, right?
yeah,
But if you look up the Michael Scott one, like if you guys know typical Michael Scott, it's a really funny like scene, especially now that you're dealing with CRMs, you can have an excuse to laugh at it. But when you do that kind of thing, like when you have those, anytime I have a survey, internal survey, I have a note section for that reason. So
yeah,
Heather, if you're doing like those events, maybe you have maybe you're doing it right there, like at the event. They can put in some little notes if they want to, or later, like, oh, I remember we spoke about this. And then when they go to reach out to them, they can look at their notes and say, oh
yeah,
yeah, like, last we spoke was about this. And like, oh yeah, good, good memory. Or you're like, oh yeah, we are thinking about that, right?
yeah.
But
So I
so
haven't used high level much. So actually how to implement it in high level.
yeah, you would
So I
do
know
it. So
where
you
a
would do the
survey is, I know how to make a survey, but how do I link that to like, well, literally all I need to do is tag it with a specific tag,
yeah,
and then it will
I'll pull up my
automatically go
screen.
through the automation that we've already got up.
So the first thing you're doing is that survey or form. So if you know how to do that,
Yep,
really good. Because when you're doing the
yep,
form, what you're getting those custom fields created, right? Now the
yep,
custom fields are going to be how we tag the conversation and how we place them in the automations. The form submitted will be the trigger. So you're going to create an automation. So step one, if you're taking notes, step one would be create the form with all questions.
yep,
Step two would be create automation.
yep,
And in the automation, I'm going to go ahead and I'll do one for you right now on the screen. I'm going to pull up my screen and share it. I would still notate what we're doing. You guys can see that? Yeah.
yep,
So first thing you're going to do here is whether you're doing a form, let's say you're doing a survey, just because I like surveys. Survey submitted will be your trigger. And then you'll need to do add filter, survey is, and then pick the trigger you have or pick the survey you have. So it'd be like new review, new whatever, right? And you're going to save that. The action you're going to take is going to be update opportunity and you're going to put them into your review pipeline. Even if you're never looking at the pipeline, this is just a tracker for the automations, right? So you do select pipeline. Maybe it's, uh, let me go to an actual one that has it. Here we go. We'll just make a blank here.
Can I go straight to update contact with the tag?
You
So when they
can,
submit the survey, literally all I need to happen is for the contact to have a tag.
if you
Because
don't,
I've already got an automation to get them into the reviews
oh
request
yeah,
sequence.
then you just do trigger as contact or not contact. I always do this wrong. Yeah, oh, it is contact. Okay, contact tag. You do added
Right.
and then pick your tag. So it might be like request review. Once I add that tag from the mobile device, it's gonna add that it's gonna if you have the contact already, it will then just move them through
Yep.
the automation. So that
So
could be a trigger too.
they're going to be a new contact. And literally, I've got the triggers all set up for the automation. All I need from the survey form is a new contact to be created and a tag added to the contact. Like it might be really simple. Like I haven't delved into it yet, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think where you would want to start is by backing up and saying, what am I trying to do? Because I think you might be getting hung up on like the tags and the forms and the surveys as opposed to like what you're trying to accomplish. So if you're saying I want to ask these people for a review and like
yep,
document like when they came in, like what, what event type and everything,
yep,
I would probably do, again, if it were just me, I would do a survey, put in their
yep,
information, and
yep,
then once that's submitted, it's going to go through the automations. And like you said, find customer. What you do, there's a little pro tip. It's a very simple one, but it helps.
yep,
Go to your settings, business profile, scroll down to here. So you're going to see keep allow duplicate contact off. What that means is when
yep,
they submit a form or survey, even if you already have them in there, it's not going to create a new contact. What it's going to do is it's instead going to try to find the contacts. You can see find existing contacts based on. And then what I
yep,
would do is what is your primary means of communication? Most likely it is a phone and then email. However, if you're selling tickets, it might be email first.
yep,
So whichever one you want to start with, you would do phone and then email, and this will prevent them from making a new contact. But if they fill out the form, it will find them. So you don't have to do the step find contact.
yep,
So a little pro, and then that way, if you go into your high level and you've got like 50 contacts as the same person 50 times, you probably have allow duplicate contact on,
yep,
and you can cut that off, merge all those, and you'll be good. I actually went to a client sub account and fixed that for him today. Uh,
yep. It's off. Yep, all good.
yeah, and then so what you would do from there is now what you can do is from your phone you can have a survey, fill out the survey right there, like right in front of them. Like, oh, like, okay, name, phone number, email, or, down the road, right? Whatever. And then you can put that information in. Now, the reason I would say having a survey is because if you say, for example, I have a contact. So we come up to the contact and let's say the contact's here, I can just add the tag, right? It's not going to collect certain information that you want. So what I would recommend, again, just keeping it dummy proof for the team involved,
Yep,
I would say once you have that survey, let's say it's, an on-site measurement out, yeah, let's just say it's one of these, right? What you can do is you can do preview, and let's pretend, just for example's sake, that this is the outcome or this is the form they would be submitting for you. You can just
hmm,
take this and bookmark it, and then when you go to bookmark it, bookmark added, you would rename it, and you would just say like, uh, you know, request review
yeah,
form, and then you can just bookmark it, and
yeah,
then that's going to be really easy to just refer back to.
yeah,
And you can do that from your mobile device. You can do it from anywhere. Sends it in, and the big reason for that is because again, you want to make sure you're tracking all the information. It's going to the right places. So what I do, for example, we have in-job outcome survey, right? So what happens in this example is somebody finishes a job, we ask them for a survey, right? We ask them like, hey, is this job complete? If yes, is the customer happy? And so think about this too, right? I don't care, like, again, think dumbest of dumb, right? Hopefully I'm
yep,
not implying that you guys are dumb, but imagine,
yep,
even just, not even saying dumb. Imagine like your 8-year-old kid, like you have an 8-year-old child who's filling this out. Is the job complete? Hey, Dad, is the job complete? It is. They don't. There's no
yep,
add tag. Go here. Oh, you didn't find it right. Hold your flashlight
yep,
right. Right. None of that stuff. Right. If that brings back any traumatic memories for anybody. Is the
mhm,
customer happy? Customer, are you happy? I am. Or no, I'm not. Okay, what can we change? Right. I am. Great. Do I want to ask them for a review from this customer? Do I want to ask them for a review? Do I want to ask them for a referral? And then any job notes. So if
yep,
you were to say,
oh,
if you do it this way instead, the benefit is that you don't have to imagine then, right, Heather, you're trying to, again, job complete wouldn't matter, but imagine job complete instead says event type. So for you, if you're having to say, hey, add event type, and then
hmm,
add if they're happy with the event, and then add if we want to ask them for a review, and then add if we want to ask them to invite a friend, and then add notes. Those are going to be a lot of manual actions as opposed to, hey, fill out the survey and just answer the questions.
yeah.
So that's why I do the survey. And then once you have the survey, we have the job outcome survey, which is what we just filled out, outcome, right? So the outcome of the job outcome, which is the first thing we do is we remove it from the workflow, which is asking them, hey, is this done? Is this done? Then we have, if there's a delay, we delay it, which you don't have to worry about. But for you, event type, and then different conditions. So what you can see is if the customer's happy, we can move them further down the pipeline. If the customer's not happy, we can move them to revisions needed, and that starts a whole other set of automations. So the benefit of doing the survey is that as soon as you submit the survey, it's going to either A, create or update the contact, and then B, it can go through all the different events, right? So
Yeah.
for example, if they came to event A, we can say, hey, we want to invite them back to event A if they had a good time, but we also want to cross sell them to events B, C, and D. And we want the language to be different for B, C, and D than A because they already went to A. We don't want to say, hey, come to event A. They're going to be like, I've already been, right? So that's why I recommend the survey because
Yep.
I'm biased, obviously, but like you'll have customers come to you and make you like double think because they're going to be like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do that. Do the same thing I do.
Yeah.
Like zoom out and be like, okay, what are we trying to do? Here's
Yeah.
what I recommend.
Cool.
Because sometimes they might be like, I want to take 3 rights. And you're like, why don't we just take a left? And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. I'll get started on that.
Yeah, and if you have any questions on that, let me know. If you want to come to the call and like share your screen, we can go through and we can build it out.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank
if you
you.
guys have builds too that you're like, hey, I want to help, I need help with this or that,
Mm.
like you guys got to remember, I mean, we have some really, really talented high level people here. Um, if you're good at high level, then you can probably relate to what I'm about to say. Like I do this all day. Like I love doing this stuff. So don't feel like you guys have to rack your brain when you're stuck on something. Like you get hit, come to me and I'll be like, oh, do this. Or I'll say, okay, if it's not this, then you got to hop on with support. And at least then you're not like racking your brain. Cause I've been there. I was telling, I guess who was I was telling Grant the other day, Grant and I co-own a lawn care agency and, he was stuck with something. He was stuck with it was forwarding the call, right? And he didn't assign it to the user. So he was assigned it to the company, but it wasn't assigned to the user that it needed to go to. So the forwarding wasn't working. And he was getting so frustrated. He was getting really frustrated. And I was like, take a breather. I was like, what's going on? This is what's going on. I said, cool. Hopped on, I fixed it in 5 minutes, right? And he'd been dealing with it for like 8 hours. And
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I can do that now because I was in your shoes before. I remember like almost
Yeah.
crying because I couldn't set up a domain like 4 or 5 years ago. I couldn't connect the domain. I remember like, and again, looking back on it, it's the easiest thing ever. When you're doing it for the first time, it's the hardest thing ever. And it's
Mm.
so frustrating. Nothing makes you want to like take your laptop, break it in half, put it in a shredder faster, or drop kick the whole thing. You're like, you know what? Maybe working at McDonald's is not the worst thing. Let me just quit this agency and
Yeah.
go flip patties. Like maybe that would be better. So I've been there. So when you guys feel like you're going through those moments, make a post, shoot me a message, hop on a call, whatever's preferred.
Cool.
And you guys do know, like, I do offer like one-on-one where it's like, hey, you can pay me to hop on a call. You can pay me to have me build it out. If you just hop in the group, it's free. If you come to the group call, it's free. Stephanie was like, can you look at my automation? Can you look at my setup? And I was like, yeah, I was like, I like when you guys ask me questions because I have a topic for my live. It was like, was it December 28th or not 29th? The whole call was about Stephanie. I get a topic, she gets help for free. She doesn't have to pay me. Other people get to watch in and spy. And I actually got clients off that call who were like, I want you to do that for me. Sweet.
Cool.
So I tell people like, be selfish. Please be selfish. I
I
try
have
to
a
be for you
question.
guys what I wish I had. That's kind of what I try to do.
Yeah, like I have a question.
Hey, what's up, Stephanie?
A okay, I have I'm going back to my nail tech client again. Um
Yes.
so my clients nail techs don't have the habit of completing their appointment bookings, which then doesn't trigger the review process. Do you have a solution for me to kind of make sure that we complete that booking without them, I don't
Mhm.
like minimal effort from them because their nail techs are really not tech savvy, and they only ever use that. Even my client don't even have never logged into the dashboard before. So
Yeah,
do you have? Yeah.
what you can do is Mike Skiff actually showed me a setup that he got from somebody, and I think he tweaked it and made it pretty good. What he would do is he would shoot them a text message. So like let's say the appointment starts, wait
Mhm.
30 minutes or wait an hour. So this is the automation, right? Appointment start, trigger, or appointment booked, sorry, wait 30 minutes after appointment started, right? Send internal notification as text message. In that text message, have a trigger link that says, click this link when the job is done. When they click that trigger link, that is the trigger for the next automation, which moves them into the review requested stage. So automation one, and you can add this into the automation you already have. Appointment booked, right? You probably have assigned to user. You probably, whatever else you have, wait, uh, time to appointment, right? Time relative to appointment. Let's say 30 minutes after appointment, right? You know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah.
30 minutes after appointment, internal notification. You can pick notification, SMS, email, do SMS, because now you know it's going to their phone. And then in the message, say, click here when you're done with contact names appointment. And it's just a trigger link. You click the trigger link, it goes to a URL that just says you know, submitted, right? Received, right? Your submission is received. But remember, the trigger link is literally a link that can act as a trigger. So then automation number two, trigger link clicked, move contact into opportunity, which then fires off your review request.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll try it out. Thanks.
Yeah. So real quick recap, appointment booked, wait 30 minutes after, send text message with trigger link saying click here when done. Automation number two, trigger link is clicked, moves them into review requested stage. Automation three, you probably already have it, which is requesting the review. So you could probably set something up like that in 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Super fast.
That's for you, not for me.
We'll say 20. We'll say 20. But yeah, Mike was working with a lot of blue collar guys, and he would do like text messages, and he'd have like hundreds of trigger links where it'd be like, click this if yes, click this if no, click this if done, click this if clocking out, click this. So he used a lot of trigger links like that, and his clients loved it.
Makes sense. Okay, I'll try it out. Thanks.
Yeah. One of my favorite things when it comes to product development is no feedback. No feedback, it can be good feedback, but if you have no feedback plus no usage, it's bad, right? So the best thing you can have, I had a call with a client yesterday. Yesterday. Best thing that you can have out of a client is somebody who will be very vocal about what they don't like. I'd rather somebody tell me about what they dislike 24/7 than what they do like. Because if you're telling me what you don't like and I fix everything to the point where you have nothing to say, perfect. If I can make a grumpy customer happy, like imagine the anybody who's a decent person or fun to work with, right? So I had a guy who reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, my client's not using the system, and he's just not a good client." I'm like, "No, he's actually a great client. He's not using the system. He's telling you he doesn't want to use the system. That is feedback. You have to be able to read between the lines. If he's not using it, you need to make it easier to use, right?" Now, there's a very rare alternate case. So I've got a client who is not really taking the calls very seriously. And so one thing this client does is they will say like, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that." And then once we get off the call, the client does nothing. So somebody was like, "Well, they're not going to use the system. They're not going to like talk to you. They're not going to like that's going to be bad, right?" And I was like, "No, because here's what's going to happen. The system is set up. Someone's going to come in. It's very easy to use, which means they're going to get a text, they're going to get an email. And then when the text and email takes them through it, when they get stuck, then they'll pay attention to what we tell them. So 9 out of 10 times, no feedback or poor usage means you need to make it easier to use. 1 out of 10 times, maybe 2 out of 10 times, sometimes it's easy to use because you've gotten that feedback from other people and you just have somebody who is all talk. The minute you drop them into the deep end, then all of a sudden, "Oh, I'm listening. Tell me how to swim. Get me out of the water," right? So sometimes you do have to let them panic a little bit to be like, okay, are you paying attention now? Great. Now let's get to work. Like, what's the joke? Like, you're driving down the road with music, singing, and then you hit a pothole and it ruins your whole mood. You gotta like turn the music off and pay attention. It's like now I'm paying attention, right? Because I hit the pothole. If you'd been paying attention the whole time, maybe you wouldn't have hit it, but you're having a little bit of too much of a fun time, right? So same thing.
And secondly, do you also have a way for me to automatically export the invoices, transactions that are happening instead of needing to manually download every single month? Remember the business operation side of things. So I know
Mhm.
we can use it with like Zapier or Make, but I can't seem to figure out like how to do that automatically or without.
So what are we trying to accomplish? Big picture. Is this
Basically,
for
what we
the
need is
commissions?
basically is yeah for the commissions, right? So basically, we want every single invoice to be in a nice Excel sheet for the client or Google
Okay.
Doc sheet.
So what I would do is anytime I have an invoice paid, trigger invoice paid, or even product paid, both, action would be updating a line in Google Sheet. And you actually can do that through GHL.
Oh,
Yeah, let me show you real quick. This is a snapshot, so I don't have the actual advanced automations on. But let's go back into our test workflow. So trigger would be invoice, status is paid. And then let's say you have products, right? Because I think you productize a lot of your stuff, like like nail, whatever. So you can also do, it's not product, it's is it purchase? So order, no, it's not order form submitted. Maybe it's oh, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of subscription. That's what I'm thinking of.
Is payment? I think so.
It's payment, right? Am I going crazy? Okay, yeah, payment. Okay. I was saying
Yeah.
purchase. Yeah, so payment. Thank you. So payment received, and then you can pick the actual product, or you can just have it as let's just say you want to just do successful, right? So payment or invoices, whatever you're doing. So let's say those are your two triggers. And then you'd come in here to sheets. There it is. And you could update the Google Sheet, send data to Google Sheets. And you could just have this update all of your rows. You can do it in Zapier too, or Make as well, but you could have this here. And they have premium actions. One thing I'm gonna start getting into more of, because I use a lot of Zapier just because my clients usually come to me using Zapier, is or Zapier, however you say it. You can actually get premium workflow plan. Look at this. This is actually not bad. 15 bucks a month, and you get 10,000 actions and triggers every month. That's actually not too bad. Versus like a Zap plan. You can probably find cheaper, but having it all native, like that's the nice part, especially if you standardize it or system like put it in a snapshot, and then you can have like automations that you label as having premium workflows. So then it's like, oh, if you upgrade, we can have these, and then they upgrade. It's like, boom, you can resell this and then have those already ready to go. So just a little freebie there. Yeah, but that's what I would do, Steph, is I would have it all go out to a sheet, because in the sheet, because again, they're not worried about tracking the invoices. That's what I was asking, what are you trying to do? They're worried about tracking successful payments to do commissions, right? So that's where I would start looking. Now, another thing that you can do is when they pay, you can have them go into, so under opportunities, you're probably assigning them to like certain people, right? Like the people doing the nails tech stuff. You can have them assigned to users, and then having the payment amount in the let's see. Oh, I didn't save. So let's say you do like invoice is paid. When you do the opportunity, what you can do is you can say, okay, opportunities here. We've already assigned them to somebody. If not, put them, above that. But in the source, I think we can come down here and do invoice. Yeah, so you can do invoice amount paid. So you can even track it in the opportunities tab.
we can't do line rate, like service line, like instead of like the total invoice amount. Because what typically happens in salons, like someone's doing the nails, someone else doing the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Example.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they're trying to track commission for each role.
Yeah, each service as well, and even package sales, so it's very complex.
Yeah, that might be a little harder just because, it's wrapped into one as opposed to like one person owning it. What you could do is you could see with something like that, trying to think like the fast, cheap way of doing it, fast, free way of doing it. I would probably think pushing it out to a Google sheet with the contact's name and everything, and then just in the sheet, just notating who did what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I'd have to see how it's going out because that'd be like, or maybe different line items maybe are assigned to different people.
yeah. What I did was as a stopgap measure is in the description when before they complete the payment, they put their unique employee code in the
Hmm.
description. I export it and the description will appear in like a line. So in that way they have to manually um, do their commissions in Excel. But I was thinking if I can automate it further. But
Yeah, the only hard part with when you're automating is you want simple ways where input equals output. And so
yeah,
if you're having it like under one invoice, but sometimes this person does the fee and this person does the hands, but other times this person does the hands and actually this time I did the whole thing. That's where it's going to get a little confusing unless you're like assigning it right there.
yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like just notating might be the easiest way to do it. I know it's a little bit more manual, but that process sounds pretty manual, assigning who's doing what when. Because are you saying like, because somebody can just walk and say, "Oh yeah, come here, I'll do your manicures," "Oh, and come over here," and then he or she will do your pedicure.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts with working with business owners is when they do like very unique things, and you're like, okay, why are you guys overcomplicating it? Um, but it's also kind of difficult to tell them to stop overcomplicating it. And so one of the first things that I do when a business calls in, my team and I, is we always like we understand like the business's point of view, like their perspective, and then we turn around and we immediately interview their entry level people. Like we basically work our way down and then work our way back up, and then we want to talk with their top 20% clientele as well. Um, but like sometimes like you might talk with the workers and they might say, hey, we hate this commission thing, like just pay me, flat rate, whatever, and let me keep the tip. They might say, hey, we love it, don't touch it, right? If they say, hey, we love it, don't touch it, great, don't change it. If they say, hey, we hate it, you can say, hey, less work for me, your team's happier, you have less things to pay me for.
Hey, Alec, I got a question. Bit much sort of where we're at as an agency, been very much pushing the WordPress websites, doing the WordPress websites, review management, which is the reason why we sort of come to you because we really like your review management, the way you
Thanks.
handled that. Um, and we're now sort of, Heather and I started listening to the 3.5 hour video together, and we're like, yeah, this is the way we are. We're still sort of, you know, transitioning from we're a WordPress agency to this more of a handling your
Mm.
handling your incoming clients sort of thing. Any ideas of how to manage that? And also I've just been chatting to one of our clients who does a WordPress website, doing websites. Sort of said really good client of ours, really good friend and client, and basically said, hey, let's have a chat. We can sort of look at your uh, look at how this new system can help you.
Mm.
He's a carpet cleaner.
Oh, very
Surely
nice.
there's many ways that um, he can automate his, because regularly you want your carpet cleaners and all that sort of stuff. So I suppose it's just that's where we're at. Just
Yeah.
interesting to hear some of your input and how would
Yeah.
we say to this carpet cleaner, listen, this is where we can manage your leads, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really happy that, someone of your and Heather's caliber are asking this question because I so many times I get a question of like the offer creation from somebody who is very new to the game, right? Like still wet behind the ears, like they're like a year or two in. You guys have a pretty good agency going from what we spoke about and what I understood. And so what I love about this is that I think a lot of the new people might think I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but when I talk about niching down, I always talk about like, when did you niche down? That's such a big piece of context that people forget. When did you niche down, right? If you're known as, people
And
coming to you
that's
for
another
websites.
issue to talk to. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How do we do that? Because we've got everything.
Right. And so because you're already in the game, I don't think that you have to. And I was talking to Steve about this as well. I think it was last week or the week before. And so he's in a similar boat where he's like, I don't have a niche, but I have a massive community of people who are coming to me and we're getting in front of, and we have clients all over the space. They're all, relatively in the local service game, but he's like, they're all over the place. Like, do I need to niche down? And I'm going to tell you what I told him, which is you don't, because when you started, what you were doing at the time that you started was already most likely niche to some degree, right? So if you're saying, hey, we're doing these kind of websites or websites on these kind of builds, when you started, you position yourself pretty well. So you don't have to try to enter the market or break into the market, which is what, when you're newer, what do they say? The best time to start was yesterday, right? So, sorry, like Adrian's gonna have a much easier time with this. It might not feel like it, but he's gonna have a much easier time with this as opposed to somebody who's saying, I have to enter the market, focus on an offer and a space because otherwise, why would anybody listen to me? Adrian and Heather have already solved that problem, which is people are already listening, they're already paying, they're already present, right? So, what I would say is, whatever you're doing to have people coming in and buying websites, number one, people don't know this about me. I think selling websites is the easiest money there is to be made in this space. It's fun if you're a creative person and if you have a system already in place. It's fun because there's not a lot of expectation that comes along with it. If the client thinks it's beautiful, like usually their response is very verbal, audible. It's very like dramatic and demonstrative, and it's very fun. I love doing website designs for people, and I'm not even good at it, and I still love doing it. Now, the advantage is, again, for anyone who's like, well, do I have to niche down? Yes, you do, because Adrian and Heather already have a community. They already have audience. They don't have to go out and build it. So you don't have to solve for, is my messaging targeted enough? Because the answer is yes. Otherwise, you wouldn't have people, right? So the second piece is, now what do we offer them? Number one, if your moneymaker is the websites, don't get rid of that by any means, right? Now, I would probably also go so far as to say, if I were the two of you, I probably wouldn't touch marketing either, because then you're going into websites and PPC and Google, Facebook ads, and you start to slowly kind of slippery slope into an everything agency. So I probably wouldn't. I would probably stay away from that unless you're already doing it. If you're like, oh, we should consider it, don't.
We
So,
are for a few clients. We're
okay,
doing
good.
it for a
So,
few.
and how do you like doing that? Are you having good results? Are you having fun? Is it like, we don't care for it? Is it like, hey, we hate it?
What's your thoughts, Heather?
That tells me a little bit.
Well, I do websites and Adrian does the marketing management. So
Something tells me, yeah, something tells me there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
Yeah. We love it when we get good results for a client in the
So,
marketing.
so I think the two of you will kind of like the reason I'm so biased, and I use that word biased because it does have a negative connotation, because I don't want to beat around the bush. It's something I love doing. So I'm gonna be biased, right? If I go watch a great movie and you hate it, I'm gonna love the movie. I'm gonna talk about it nonstop, right? Big Star Wars Episode 3 fan here, right? If you don't like the Episode 3, I don't care. But same thing with the sales system, right? So if Adrian, you're doing the marketing, and Heather's building the
Yeah.
website, the customers are probably assuming, hoping that, or even expecting, I don't know the messaging, even expecting that they're going to get clients out of that, right? And so what marketing does is marketing generates leads. It doesn't generate sales. Do sales come from that? Of
Yes.
course. Because if I throw enough darts at a board, I might hit a target every once in a while, right? A broken clock goes right twice a day, right? And of course, I'm taking a very pessimistic approach just to be dramatic, but I want to drive it really, clear to people. The website can be very beautiful, and that does affect conversions heavily. Heather, if you saw the two websites that we just did for Lawn Care Guy, like the before afters, whoosh, bad. Like, one looks like, somebody built it in like 98. Like, it's bad. And he's like running it today. It's really bad. Like, you would probably have a good giggle over that. So we know websites do affect conversion, because a bad one will definitely turn it away, right? The website, and I'm going to sound very shallow here, so just bear with me. The website is a pretty face, right? I don't know, think about Adrian when you first met him, right? And you're like, wow, so handsome. Or Heather, Heather's beauty is ageless, so we're not even gonna go there. But think about Adrian, right? When he was, when you first met him, right? And you're like, wow, the face is there. Are the brains there, right? Because you might see a really good looking guy, and then you talk to him, and he's a complete doorknob. What is it? Doorknob, right? He's got, light. What do they say? Lights are on, but no one's home. I'm sure you guys have even better, funnier expressions over on Australia. But yeah, lights are on, no one's home, right? The website is a beautiful face. The system is the brain, right?
Mm.
So when you opt in, what are we doing when they opt into the forms? And I'm assuming, like you said, Heather, you're building forms. You're probably phenomenal at building beautiful forms on, what do you use? Webflow, Elementor? Do you have like a preferred
We use
design?
WS Forms for forms.
There you go. Look, she even has her preferred plugin. See? So she's got a preference, right? So then it's like, okay, when the form comes in, then what? So what you're probably doing right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume you're probably relying on the customer, your customer, to then say, hey, we have a form submission, we've got to take action.
Yep.
And so what I like to do is I like to say, listen, you're already going to take action. If I send you, and this is the question I always ask the website people, the marketers, and the customers. I ask them all the same question. I send you 500 people tomorrow. What are you going to do?
Mm.
Is there a chance that even one person slips through the crack? And the answer is going to be yes. If I send you 200, yes. What if I send you 50? Yes. What if I send you just 10? And you've got to make sure they all have a perfect experience. It's going to be hard, right? And the idea is that we're going backwards. First, we get you 10, then 50, then 100. We want to get you more and more leads, right? That's the whole point of, Adrian saying, hey, I want to do PPC and Facebook ads, right?
Mm.
So with the system, what I would say to the people with the systems, I say, listen, we can generate you traffic. We can build you a beautiful website. But just like you want, what's the Australian term? You want a Sheila with a pretty face and brains, right? I'm learning. I'm learning. It's not just Bluey. I got an Australian buddy now who's teaching me, right? But you want to. Hopefully, I'm not like using slang over or like bad terminology. But you want someone with brains and appearance, right? The ladies too, right? The guys, the ladies. We all want somebody a good looking and intelligent, right? And a good personality. So what the system's going to do, and you guys, you can watch the video, but I'm going to save you the time. What the system's going to do is say, listen, when you come to this beautiful website and you opted in because our marketing spoke to you, you're hard off the press. We don't want to let you slip through the cracks. So what we want to do is we want to say, listen, you're coming in. What are they coming in for? If I'm coming into, did you say it was a carpet cleaner? Just to make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm
Carpet
shopping
cleaner.
with a carpet cleaner, right? Am I going to ask the carpet cleaner how much it will cost to watch my dogs? Or how much it will cost to build a pool. No, I'm coming for carpet cleaning. So when I opt into the form, we can assume this is the beauty of when your customers niche down. Because think about it, your customer doesn't say, you know who the worst to market is, by the way? Handyman. What do? I do everything. It's super hard to run ads for that. But if I
We got
send
one
you,
of them now.
oh yeah, have fun with that. That'll be a tough one. But at least in the U.S., that's a really tough one to promote. But if you got carpet cleaners, they're coming in. What do they want? They want carpet cleaning. So you can say, hey, we've gotten your, let's say they, and this is where you have to talk to them. Do you do an on-site inspection for the carpet before you give a quote? And they're going to say one of two things, yes or no. If yes, when they submit the form, on-site form, what information do we need? Heather could probably spit that out super fast just to save her time. Name, address, contact. Because we got to, and what time he wants to come, right? And then that tells you what to build. Well, we need the form, we need the fields, and we need the calendar, right? Once I book that in, we've got to say, hey, what? Your appointment has been confirmed. We'll see you on this time. And then we're going to have follow-up emails 24 hours before. Hey, don't forget, we'll see you tomorrow between these hours. Day of, hey, we're gonna be heading there in about an hour. We'll be there between this time and that time, right? Let's say they book an on-site inspection. What are they going to do when they get on site? They're going to give them an estimate. Lead connector. Boop, 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 boop. Here are the numbers. Send off his estimate, right? What happens after the estimate's sent out? There's three options. I like it. I hate it. Ghost, right? So if they love it, what do you want to do? Move into the system. Assign it to the team. And you can combine it with their CRMs if they have one. What do you do if they don't reply? They don't reply. We follow up and we start with, hey, is there any reason not to move forward? Wait another day. Looking over your quote, if we were able to book you in, we could probably get you started sooner. So the first objection handling I do proactive is assuming that they're just dragging their feet. Then I go into price. So I'm going to say, hey, any reason not to move forward? Then I go into, if we book now, we could probably get you on the calendar next week. And then I go into, if it's a, is it a, if it's a matter of price, let me know and be willing to work with you. And then I go into competitor, right? Right? Think about like a jealous boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Is it somebody else, right? I'm gonna be like, oh, if you have a quote from another competitor, this is my favorite quote. This is my favorite objection I've that I use. I can't remember who told me this, but it's my favorite objection that I use for a competitor's quote. Again, just assuming they have one. I say something like, hey, if you have a quote from somebody saying they can do it for cheaper, send it over to me. If I can't match it, if I can't beat it, lower price, you'll know without a shadow of the doubt that you have the best quote. Would you be upset if you had the best quote, even if it wasn't from me? And they'll say, no, I don't even care about, or in the US, they'll be like, I don't even care about you. I think Australians are a little bit nicer. I think Canadians are probably the nicest English speakers. And we don't care about the UK, right? No, just kidding.
Mhm.
But the right, Americans don't care, right? We know Americans are probably the most aggressive English speakers. They don't care. They just want the best price, best quality. So I'm going to say, hey, would you be upset if I ensured that you got the best quote, even if it wasn't from me? And then you can look at the quote and you can say, either I can't beat this, there you go with him, or oh, I'll beat this by 5%. And I'll make sure the next clean, we beat that one by 5% as well. So, oh, I'm going in, right? And if you ask the business owners, ask them, would you like to have more conversations with people who don't accept your quote? I'd love to. Would you be willing to work with them? And what are they going to say? They're going to say this every time. Well, within a degree, right? I would work with them relatively. And you're going to say, yeah. Now, how do you know what that degree is? It's based on the project, right? So it requires you to have a conversation with them. Yeah. We're going to get you more conversations with people who are uninterested so you can close more of them. How much is one lead worth? What is carpet cleaning like? I don't know the Australian conversion. Let's just go US, right? What's US carpet cleaning for like a pretty big square foot, place? I'd probably assume like Patricia, do you know? I don't think that's exactly what you guys do, but I don't know if you know association
It's
what is
about
it?
250. It's
About
about
250.
250 in Australia.
So great. We have a system. Our system is $200 a month, $300 a month, right? Whatever you guys want to charge.
Sorry, I couldn't find you. I wasn't being rude. I couldn't
I
unmute.
saw you. I saw you looking around. I saw
I
you
was
like,
like, wait a minute, I have too many screens up. Sorry about that.
yeah, US carpet cleaning. What would you say about 250, 300?
About 250.
Okay, cool. So 250. Adrian, let's say you're already charging for hosting. You're say, hey, we're gonna tack on another $200 a month. If we get you one client, that's a positive return off of somebody you wouldn't have. So one client makes your money back. Two client, more money. Three clients, more money. Now here's the beauty of the system because you're talking about reviews. When they're coming in to buy, now you have more people to ask a review from. So now you have more people to ask a review from, which statistically means more reviews. More reviews means higher ranking faster. It means more referrals. It means higher, right? And then all of that compounds, as you guys know. So you've got the quick pitch is you got the face, you got the attention. Let's get some brains. And so the reason I always start with the sales system first, and part of the sales system, by the way, is the website, Heather. Like, so that kind of goes into package one. Like, oh, we're going to set up the website and the system. So now you guys can justify charging a higher monthly rate. Because what did you guys tell me you were charging for your hosting fees? I think it was pretty low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
120, less than 120.
Yeah. So now you could say, hey, you can do hosting for just 120, or we could move that up to double, 240, 300, and you have the sales system put in place.
Mhm.
Because I would assume hosting doesn't really require anything out of you besides you set it up and then you kind of make sure there's no issues, right?
Yeah, we spend a lot of
uh,
resources making sure that things are secure and updated in the back end. Yeah, so it does, but it's still a good return on, like it's a good part, like it's a good passive income if you can
Right.
call it that. Yeah.
Well, you set it
yeah,
up and you're
I
still keeping a
manage.
pulse on it.
Mm.
I manage all the hosting myself. We actually got a hosting management system. We don't use a third party hosting. They're all on my hired servers
Very
and I
nice. And
manage it.
so how
And
much,
I manage it.
I was gonna say,
So,
how much time per month do you spend? Or let's just say weekly basis, how many hours do you throw at the hosting for
um,
not new customers, existing customers?
once the system's built up, it's built up. The main is getting them into the system and making sure that their security's done well.
And we hire someone
Um,
to update the WordPress
oh
backend
yes,
Smart. Yeah,
every
that's smart. That's
week.
smart.
Yeah. Yep.
he's manually updating, so we can
Yep.
say to our clients, it's done manually. It's not and updated, then checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing's
because I know
broke.
some people who they leave automatic on, and then like you go to the website and it's like a widget is like dead, and you're like, what happened? And
Yep.
it's like, oh,
Yep,
automatic updates.
Mm.
So
yep,
you're probably not
yep,
doing too much time on that alone. So if you were like, let's say you're able to double or triple your 120 for your hosting by just saying, oh, we can
Mm.
also throw in this system that converts right away. And it does the
Yep.
reporting, and well, you might have reporting already on WordPress, but and it does your reporting for your sales system. It does reporting. You can have hiring, you can have reviews, you have referrals. We report this out to you every week, every month, whatever you prefer. So now you're seeing that you give Adrian and Heather X money. We're giving you back Y this month, Z next month, A next month, B, and it's just going to be slowly climbing and climbing.
Mm.
yeah. What about the time for setting up? Would we sort of? I'm just trying to think of the model of how to do that. Yes, that's what it is, and that covers go high level. But then what about
So,
and
so,
I imagine once we get the systems done, it'll just be pull a snapshot over, but it's building the snapshots and
so
all
it'll be
those sort
harder
of,
for you because you're not niche down. Now,
yeah.
it will again because you are more again, this could be something that you tack onto your website. So, for example, do you mind if I ask how much your last website in or quote was that you sent out to somebody?
So it's about a
We
full
do
web. Sorry, you go.
we do two websites. Basically, we do an entry one page website for around 1,800 too, and then most of our other main websites are run into around the 4.5, 5.
Okay, great. So, what if you could say, hey, it's you've got three options. Option one, one pager. Option two, whatever standard 5 page or 8 page you're doing. And then option three, which we know three options perform really well. Option three, the full system, and that's only 1,500 more on top of what you're billing out, right? And then so
Mm.
it gives you a nice price justification if you're explaining, right, the face, the attention and the brains kind of thing, right? For the builds, here's what I'll say with the builds, just being like super transparent about the timeline. If you know what you're doing, like for me, I have a package where you can pay me and I can have your whole thing done within a day. It is a lot of work, but I've done so many of them that I can build it out extremely quickly. The build always looks like this. Step one, we have to map out your whole process. If I don't map out your process fully, what's going to happen is I'm going back and forth with you.
Mm.
And that is you guys know, oh my goodness, if you don't have access to something or if you have to get, what's the branding color, what's the information, what's your USP, and you're going back and forth, that's the most amount of time. So the first thing we do is we do an extensive blueprint. I call it the blueprint session. It's about 2 hours. Sometimes, and most of the time, it's actually done within about 45 to 50 minutes. But I give a 2 hour block. Okay, lead comes in. Where are you getting your leads from? What do you want them to do? Are you doing an on-site estimate or over the phone? Do you collect cash up front? Do you not collect cash up front? Um, once you've secured them, whether it's cash or no cash, how do you schedule them? Do you have a CRM that you use? Can you add me to your CRM? Once it goes into your CRM, how do you mark this? How do you mark that? How do you follow up? I'm asking the entire flow process. Like, what do you do then? What do you do then? What do you do then? Once I have it all written out, I go back to the top. Who does this? Who does this? Who owns all these processes? Because that was a mistake we had this other day. We had a client come in. He goes, "Oh, it's just me." We set up the whole system. Then he goes, "Oh, I have a business partner." Well, what does he do? Because now we have to go back and change the assigned user to all the business partner for his roles, right? So that added on like a day of work. So we want to get all the information up front. Then when you go to build it, if you can follow the video of how I build it, of course that's specific to painters, but that flow, once you're setting that up, again, I maybe I've been doing this for a long time, so maybe I'm just very, fast with it. I have the whole thing done within a week. So I do the call day one, day two, we start building out, and I go in the exact order you see there on the doc because I found that does the least amount of travel, right? Because I don't have to go to calendar, then automations, then back to calendar, then do custom fields, then I have to go add I don't have to do that, right? If I go in that order, I've found that it saves me the most amount of travel time, which again sounds really silly, but it makes a difference. So I can have one built out within 7 days, and I actually have an offer where we do one within 24 or 48 hours. So we have a call and then the next day we build it out and then the next day we review it and then we do a 30-day period like what do you like, what do you dislike? Whatever they don't like, we change. And
Cool.
by the way, like if you do the websites, you guys know, I don't know how much you guys do with websites, but scope, right? So or iron triangle. So iron triangle is like scope, budget, time. So when those change, variables change, right? So if someone's like, I want it
Yeah.
tomorrow, timeline becomes a factor, price goes up with that, right? So what I do is I'll say, oh yeah, we can build this whole thing out. Let's say, 1,500 over 7 days. I'll tell you the actual like non-SASO rates in a second because they're pretty fun. But well, I'll just tell you those now. So over 7 days, it's 6,900. We'll build the whole thing out, $6,900. You'll get it in 7 days. We'll do 30 days monitoring. If they're like, I want it in like 2 days, great, it's 10-2. Because what I do with the 10-2 is I basically push everybody off and I prioritize them. That's also why I give myself 7 days. Because if I have somebody come in and pay me 10K, I can push them off 2 days. It doesn't change anything because I'm still going to build theirs out in 2 days. So it just leaves me
Gosh, I
room to
can't
like,
even
what do you
imagine.
call it? Disney Fast Pass. You guys know Disney
Yeah,
Fast Pass?
yeah. I can't even imagine doing that in 2 days.
So yeah, the first time, and I'll tell you, the first time I built it out, it took me 60 days, 2 months. The second time it took me a month. The third time it took me 14 days. And then I was stuck at 14 days for a long time. And then after the video I made where I was able to like structure it in a smarter way, I was like, oh, I can actually do it this way. I'm like, oh, that's way smarter. And then I was able to do it in 7 days. And then I had a client actually a few weeks ago come to me and like, oh, can we set this up? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, we mapped it out. And I was like, oh, I got nothing to do today. I built it in like 4 hours. And this is not a flex to me. Again, remember, I've got three brain cells. They rattle. When I'm walking, you can hear them rattling up in there. Okay. It sounds like a walnut. It's just repetition.
Yeah, 100%. So did I hear you say that you had a video where you built out a painter? Because that would be sort of very similar to what we've got
So the
painters, we
video,
got
that 3 hour video, if you skip to about the 90-minute mark, I basically say, now that you've learned, that's why I say it's everything you need to learn in one video. So I teach you all the scripts, everything in the first 90 minutes. The
gotcha.
second 2 hours is me just building it from scratch.
We
1.3
got about halfway through and we're going, yeah, this is just talking and yeah, this seems like where we need to go as an
Yeah.
agency. And then I haven't watched the rest of it.
Yeah. Then the
I
next part
generally
is,
watch it.
hey, here's how you do it.
I generally watch it, listen to that sort of training when I'm driving, because we're just moving to another office in the capital of Tassie as well. So we're just opening that up as a little bit of a part-time sort of a thing. So I'm
Nice.
on the road a lot and I listen to my training on the road.
I used to do that all the time. I worked at 90 minutes away. Like, so I drive an hour and a half because I had a decent job there, and I would just play videos, like YouTube videos on like, you know, just listening to them. So yeah,
Yeah. All
I
right.
always found audio books, things like that. I always had a lot of fun doing that.
So I'm just trying to get the verbiage. What it's not, it's sort of there, but it's not coming out. So what do you call
I call it a sales
um,
system, or
sales
you can
system?
call it a sales system. Now, what I really like to call it is a conversion mechanism, but I think that overcomplicates because people don't speak, the stuff like we do.
Conversion mechanism. Yep.
I've always loved calling it a conversion mechanism because its sole focus is how can I convert you, whether it's a sale, a referral, a review, an upsell, a downsell, a cross sell, just keeping you every month. Like I want to convert and keep you. So you can call it a sales system. And basically the sales system, for anybody wondering, it's just a CRM that is set up with automations to sell and close for you. So you can have a CRM. A
Sure.
CRM typically is I'm moving you along. If we have an automated CRM that is oriented around sales, you have a sales system.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's because very much what we like, and our goal is this year is to do 2 websites a month.
Mhm.
But as you can understand, there's always boom. Like you get a project, you do a project. We're looking for a more of full on steady income coming in. Add this on the extra. It's sort of gonna,
Right.
yeah.
And that's why I like the sales
That's
piece
sound.
because it is, in my experience, if you have somebody who is like a serious business owner, it is a very sticky product because they might say, can we update the website? They might say, hey, the ads aren't working, let's cut it off. They will never say, let me fire the whole sales team that I'm paying $200 for as opposed to 2,000 base salary plus commission. They'll never say, hey, you know what? $200. it's not worth it. Let me man the phones all day long. They're never gonna. I've never had anybody say that. The only people we've ever had come in that are like shaky are the people who, and this is by the way, like, and you guys know this is probably why you are able to charge the prices you charge for a decent website. I found that if you charge like too low, you attract the wrong kind of people, and they're like, oh, well, it's like they want like this fully built out thing. It's like you're not even ready for it. It's like they want a motorcycle. And it's like you can't even ride a tricycle. Like let's start there. So some of the things I do with the pricing is for that because I really want to attract. Like for example, if an agency comes to me that's making less than 20,000 a month, it's not a good fit because you're probably not doing the solid. You're not doing the numbers you need to be doing. You don't have the systems in place, and you probably haven't pulled your head out of the sand enough to like really dedicate to that. So what I haven't say so, right? Not to pitch you guys, but to pitch you guys. What I haven't say so is I have discounted pricing because you guys are in say so. So what that means is like, let's say I have a guy who's in the group. He came in and he's explaining to me his thing. So I map out his process, right? And I'm like, if you want, I can build this out with you. And so he's like, oh yeah, let's do that. So his employer or customer is paying the setup fee, my setup fee. So he pays my setup fee. I come in, and what we're doing is he said, "I'll pay you the full rate. What's in with that rate?" So it's only 1,500. Again, 1,500 versus 69. 1,500. We do the blueprint where it's exactly on their process. So I told him, make sure you know your whole process. Make sure you know their process. He's like, I know it by like back of my hand. I'm like, cool. We map out the whole thing. So that's on the call, so he can learn how to do it. And then we're gonna build the whole thing together too. So he can watch. He's gonna watch me build it. So basically, he's gonna like hop on a Zoom call, and I'm gonna build the whole thing, and I'm gonna just talk as I'm doing it, and he'll interrupt me as he has questions. And then after that, it's 30 days. Is the client happy? They're not happy. Let's change this. Let's change that. Let's switch this here. Now, the reason I do that so cheap with you guys is because most people come in, they already know how I am. We do a kickoff call. There's an orientation. You guys are here because you're relatively serious about what you're trying to do. And in doing that, if I can lower my price, that gives you guys value, but also the bigger benefit is either A, you can learn how to do it on your own, you won't need me anymore, or B, you can say, hey, 1,500 is nothing. Let's keep selling this. Maybe we only up our prices 1,500. We pay Alec his fee, but then we're keeping the 300, 500 a month all day. We're getting the recurring revenue.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I like doing it because if you guys and think about this, right? I was telling this to Omar actually. I was telling Omar there's a thing called it's getting late here. Maybe Omar can remind me. It was a growth formula. That's what it was, growth formula. And so what I was telling him is I was telling him this, like, what are the key metrics? And we can do this with you guys, right? So we can show everybody. What are the key metrics that lead to you making money? So I'll tell you Omar's, and then Adrian, Heather, you guys can tell me what you guys maybe think yours are. So Omar's would be if he's doing like a Spanish affiliate program, right? So Omar's growth metrics would be what leads to a sale. So it's attention, like audience, and then it's DM or WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp conversations, and then it's pushing to a conversation on the phone, and then it's a sign up. And then I said, well, how can you get them to stay? And he said, well, if we figured out if they do a certain action, then they'll be hooked because they'll need that. Basically, their account will be as live as long as they have a client on their account, right? So we basically said, okay, great. So we need to get them a client within 30 days. So his growth formula is now content, group engagement for his audience, pushing to conversations with lead magnets, in the conversations, pushing to calls, in the calls, pushing to book or sign up on the trial. When they sign up on the trial, they get another call and all that stuff. But again, that kickoff call doesn't lead to growth. It's get them a customer as fast as humanly possible because if they have a customer, they'll stay. If they're staying, Omar's getting paid every month. So once we do that, it's like, great, those are our core tasks. And so what Omar and I did is Omar and I created the growth formula. And then we took the growth formula and we created an accountability tracker. So now he knows these are the things that make me money. I need to track the things that make me money. And then we actually built a calendar and we said, okay, now that I've tracked them, I need to put time in my day to do them. And so now if you look, I mean, hopefully he put it in his calendar. If not, I don't know, I'll get Allie to hit you with a chancla or something. But now what he has is when he wakes up, he has a calendar telling him what to do, when to do it. He's tracking it in his tracker. All that's going to lead to more money and more clients. And of course, that's going to increase his revenue because it's all built around his growth formula. So for you and Heather, I'd say, what is getting you attention, right? From what's getting you attention, are you pushing directly into a call, into a conversation? Like, what does that look like? How many calls? How many, what does that next piece look like? Once they onboard, because you're doing websites, you probably need some kind of a good customer experience. Building a website is like building a home, right? When you're building a home, it's going to take a little bit, but you want to make sure they know what's happening when it's happening. That's how you know they're like, I just gave you 4,500. They might be like, but if you're like, oh, this is what we're doing day one. This is what we're doing week two. This is what we're doing week three. Week four, we're wrapping up. Week five, we're doing mobile. Okay, week six, you ready to look at it? They're like, okay, I've had a pulse this whole time, right? It's one of the reasons why they do, when you're pregnant, right? And you go to the OBGYN, right? You're doing your checkups because not only is it making sure the mom and baby are okay, but also it's like peace of mind. You guys are good. That gives you a ton of peace of mind, right? If you've been a parent, you know what that's like. If you don't have peace of mind, you're like, you can't, nothing is right, right? Everything is anxious, right? So it's the same thing with them. So it's like, okay, cool. How am I getting in front of them? How am I pushing to conversations with them? What is the onboarding? They call it activation. How am I getting them into, like, they give me the money. I need to make them have a good experience. I need to be easy when they give me money. I need to be clear with my communication. I need to let them know exactly what's happening when it's happening. Once it's done, what's the revisionary period? And then once it's up, how do we keep them here, right? And so, in my opinion, the reason the sales system does so well is because it answers the question, how do I keep you here? I'm making you money and I'm showing you I'm making you money. It's going to be really hard to leave that.
Yeah.
But that's when you do the growth formula,
That's
it's like what leads to me getting my desired result? What are those key things? And then tracking all of my activities around those key things and then baking that into your calendar. So you'll see, again, you guys have built something really nice here, but I've seen people who come to me and they're like, I've done 50 things today. I'm like, cool. How much money is coming in the pipeline? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like, then why do I care? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, efficient is not effective. It can be
the
effective is efficient, but efficient is not always effective,
the
right?
thing for us, I would say 80% of our, just roughly, on the top of my head, it's all come from word of mouth, from meeting in business networking and doing business
Yeah,
networking. And we've got to because we're in Tasmania, sort of a smaller part of Australia, and
sure.
it's a large, small community sort of thing. So then for us thinking is how do we get out of that? Because I know we're going to start to get to
Mhm.
our,
So
you
the
know,
first thing is you're getting word of mouth, which means at the very least, Heather's good at what she does, at the very least, right?
they
And
love a
then
smiley face.
right. I mean, hey, you wouldn't get word of mouth. There's always word of mouth. So this is what people don't understand. There's always word of mouth. It's either you're doing great or it's you're doing terribly, and that's why no one's coming to you. But there's always word of mouth. People talk, people gossip, right? The men are just as bad as the women.
Yeah.
Ladies, don't let the guys fool you. The men are just as bad. So word of mouth is good. That means you know what you're doing. The problem, though, is that you're only relying on word of mouth, which means if there is some kind of COVID shutdown 2.0, if there's some kind of economical hit, your word of mouth is going to dry up because no one's going to be talking about that, right? So you want to have sources that are a little bit more reliable. And again, word of mouth will always be there too. That's another thing people miss. It'll always be there. So what you want to do is you want to rely on word of mouth starting out. If you look at the sales training, I say start with your high trust $0 network because it's free, but it's also limited, right? Just like you said, we're limited to a smaller town. So what you would want to do is say, if I were you guys, this is what I would do. Number one, I would say, who are my best clients, right? And the way you look at your best clients is you create a client list. This is my favorite trick for doing it with best clients. You create a full list of your clients, Google Sheet, and you go name, business name, and you go cash spent with you, industry type, and then you do an emotional score, likability. I kid you not. This is what changed my life when like 2 years ago. So again, name, business name, industry like space, niche, cash that they've given you, and rating how much you like working with them. And go just 1 to 5. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to cash the column for cash, and you're going to sort it high to low. And I believe it's A to Z, right? Just A to, I think actually I think it's actually Z to A, because I think Z to A is reverse numerical. So I think it's Z to A. So you're going to do Z to
Yeah.
A. It's going to reorganize everything, and you're going to see the name of and the cash flow of your top spenders. And then you're going to look at how's our likability in this score, right? And then so what you do is after you do Z to A for cash flow, go over to likability and then do Z to A. Because then what it'll do is it'll reorganize it by likability. And you will literally see the people who've given you the most amount of money that you like the most. I don't care how much they like you. I don't care how much. My wife has someone who like is like a big fan of hers. Every time this person calls my wife, she like rolls her eyes because she's like, and I'm like, be nice, and she's like, I'm being nice. She's like, I just need a minute. She's like, God, give me the patience. She has such a big heart, but like, it doesn't matter if they like you. It matters if you like them, because what you're gonna do then, right? Top spenders that you like the most. That's who you target for all of your marketing, all your messaging, everything, right? Because the thing about it, if you had 50 of those, 20, 20 of those, five of those, 100 of those, if you had more of them, you'd be happy. You obviously don't want your cheapest, angriest clients. That would suck. You'll be like, you know what? You'll be like, maybe let's go manage a McDonald's together, right? You'd be looking at other, let's just live on the beach and be, hipsters. Who cares, right? You wouldn't want to do it. So you want more people that you like working with and like giving you money, right? That's the best client. If anybody disagrees, we'll send you a list of psychologists and therapists because you just like pain. There's nothing worse than a nightmare client. So once you have that, what you can then do is you can then, if they've given you a lot of money, right? And again, giving you a lot of money means they've been with you for a while too. So it could be the 4,500 setup fee. You can even segment it, setup fee and how long they've been with you. So we want people who are paying nice setup fees. They've been with us for a while and we like them, right? Market to those people. And what you can do is you can turn around and you can literally say, great, these are the people we want to market to. These are people who stayed with us. Let's get them. You're talking about word of mouth. Let's get them. Let's get conversations with them. Let's get case studies with them. Let's get testimonies from them because they're gonna attract more people. There's a lady in LA, I think, and she makes all of her money using word of mouth. Now, what's interesting is the way she does word of mouth is she systemizes it. So what she'll do is she'll do a build, and you can do automation for this for your agency. Once the client has moved to done, you wait 3 months, you send them an email, and the email goes like this. This is her email, not mine. If I can remember her name, I'll send it to you guys. But this is the email she used, and she ran a very successful web creation agency. All she said was this: "Hey, so and so, we were just looking over our past projects, and I stumbled across yours from 3 months ago. Ironic, right? Again, this is automated, right? I can send this to anybody. It sounds very
Mm.
personal. Hey, I'll use let's use Adrian's name, right? Hey, Adrian, I was just looking over our portfolio, and I stumbled across yours, and from 3 months ago, and I just remembered how much fun we had. Like working with you was such a pleasure. It was easy. We built something really beautiful." And I was thinking, I wish every client were just like you. So here's my challenge. Dot, dot, dot. You wouldn't happen to know just one person who would benefit from the same thing that we did together. Who would benefit from the same experience, who would benefit from the same outcome, who would benefit from the same program, whatever it is, right? If you do, I would love, you send me their information, we'll reach out or put us in a three-way chat, whatever your CTA is, right? Introduce us and we'll make sure we give them the friends and family discount, right? So now you're challenging them, you're flattering them, and you're incentivizing them to look like a hero to their friend. And here's the kicker. At the end of that, notice we don't say, hey, hope you're doing well in the beginning. No, do that at the bottom. Because now what that shows is like you genuinely care. If I say, watch this, ready? Adrian, I'll ask you a question, you just reply, okay? Ready? And you guys
Yeah.
have all been through this, ready? Hey, Adrian, how's your day going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, that's great. So listen, I wanted to reach out to you because did I care about his day? Now watch this. Adrian, I want you to shoot me down, okay? Whatever I tell you, just say no, not interested, okay? Hey, Adrian, it's been 3 months since we worked together. Do you know anybody that could benefit from the same thing that we did? And just tell me no.
No, not really.
That's fine. Hey, how you been lately? It's been 3 months since we spoke.
Uh,
How you been?
yeah, going okay. Another day, another dollar.
What sounds way more genuine? Me asking how he is and then immediately getting to what I want, or me even knowing that I might get rejected, then following up, P.S. How's it been? It's been a while since we've spoken. Are you doing well?
Mm.
What sounds way more
Mm.
genuine?
Second.
Yeah, and that's going to be the environment and the experience that Adrian would feel more comfortable sending Heather to, Omar to, Robert to, as opposed to me saying, "Hey, how's it going? I don't care. Give me people who are going to give me money, right?"
Mm.
So even if word of mouth is your main piece, you can automate it. And I'll show you some of my actual backend. I never show this stuff. Let me pull this up. But check this out. So this is for my actual SASO funnels backend that I do. So you see active SASO funnel clients, right? And this is actually supposed to say 3 months. You'll see. So this will say pipeline stage changed to job
Mhm.
closed. Wait, yeah, you see, I just didn't change this. Wait 90 days. And I make sure it's between Monday and Saturday. I don't like messaging people on Sunday because it's usually people's family time. And here's what I do. I do a quick question, and I do, my typical, kind of frat guy tone. So make sure it sounds like you. And you can see the
Yeah,
exact email I use. You can see
awesome.
here, I say, looking at how your sales system is running these past 90 days, this is exactly why I love what we do. The transformation in your business is the kind that makes me want to clone you as a client. Seriously, these are the results I want to create for more people. Here's the deal. I'm looking to bring on 2 to 3 new clients next month, but here's what most people don't know. My best clients like you have always come from referrals. Do you know even just one person who is tired of their sales process being a mess, needs to scale but can't handle more chaos, wants a system that actually works without needing them to micromanage? If someone comes to mind, just reply with their name and info. I'll reach out personally and make sure you look good in the process. No pressure at all. I only want to work with people who are as serious as you are about building something, still pumped. And I can say, hey, when you refer, I'll show them a preview of what their new system could look like. Trust me, they're going to love it. So you could do something like
Cool.
that. And I could even shoot them a text
That's
message right
awesome.
after.
That's awesome. And that's really good feedback to think through because what I have been thinking is like we've got some clients that we've done a lot for, particularly a client that we did this website at a really cheap rate, really good for them because they were starting out thinking, hey, when something happens, we can build on more on it. And then we
Mhm.
get an email, hey, we're going with an advertising agency now, close our website down. And I'm like, we do all that. And I'm thinking probably we should be getting back in their heads with, yeah.
Yeah. And I would do one of the things I love from Russell Brunson, he talks about Seinfeld emails. And so what he'll do is he just says every day I manually sit down, I click all my contacts, and I send all of them an email that I send right there. Not automated, just an email from me right there that day. And so you can do that once a week. I wouldn't do it every day, but you can do that, once a week, twice a month, and just once, hey, reaching out, blah blah blah, updates, whatever. So it can be half personal, half business, right? And just stay in front of them. But what I would really do is when you have them in here, once they go to um, let's say job close, let's say website built, right? The next stage should be push to sales system. So once they're in that stage, you can have automations that kick off that
Yeah.
like, hey, we built your website. Wait a month. Oh, hey, like, did we tell you we can do the sales system and yada yada yada, right?
Yeah.
And then once they move into the sales system, the next piece could be, hey, you've got your sales system up. It's time to drive traffic, right? And do like a 30-day, 60-day wait in between.
Yeah.
And then if they don't move, they're staying in that um, stage, if you will. Now you can tag them. You can have filters, smart lists, right, around messaging them. You know, automation that are just reaching out to them every 3 months, every month, every, whatever.
Cool. That's just been a ha moment for me because we always teach get your website, get your property right, and then you can do your advertising. Or now we should have a third step in there. Get your website, get your property right, get your sales system right before you start driving traffic.
Yeah. And then the benefit of that approach is that, when somebody reaches out to you and they say, I got a marketing, hey, I'm going with an agency. I would say, cool. What are you going to do when they send you, like, let's say they send you 200 leads and they're going to be like, that's awesome. Like that. Yeah, that would be so cool. What are you going to do with those 200 leads?
Yeah.
And they're like, so
Cool. Thank you.
what I like about
Yeah.
doing this approach is when you take that approach, the marketer is now not competing with you. This is what I was telling Adelina. And I was like, you know, almost, beating it to a pulp because I was like really trying to drive it home for her and it clicked.
Mm.
But that's what I was telling Adelina. I was like, don't do reviews because you're going to lose to the review guys. Don't do advertising agencies because you're going to lose to the ad guys. They've been in business longer. They have the results. If you do the sales system with the website, what's the advertisement guy going to do? He's going to say, don't change anything. We want to send our traffic there because you're going to convert. All we need is access to the domain so we can create the landing page under the subdomain. And then you and Heather can say, hey, we play nice with marketers. We love marketers. Because
Yes.
you're gonna make
Yep.
our sales system look great. We're gonna make your ROI look great, and our customer's gonna make a ton
Right.
of money and keep paying the two of us. And guess who gets fired first? The marketer.
The marketing
The
agent.
marketer gets fired first every
Always
time.
do.
Because what
Yep.
costs the most? The marketer is that's a four-figure
Mm.
expense every month. And what's generating actual cash? The sales system, not the marketer.
Yep.
Who's handling
Yep.
objection? Who's doing it right?
Yep. Yep.
So the yeah.
That's great. It's been a real aha moment. Yep.
Now here's what I'll tell you, and this will be this will be me this will be me pitching you, okay? So here, and this goes to anybody, right? If you're in the group, if you're like, hey, listen, I can charge this guy 1,000 or 2,000, 5,000. I can charge him Alex prices 6,000. I can go way more, 20,000. 'Cause I'm doing websites and funnels and everything. If you're like, hey, listen, this is kind of hard to build. Just like I had a guy come in, he's like, this is a little bit, hard for me to build. It's a new build. What you can do is you can say one time, two times, every time. You can say, Alec, will you build it out with me so I can either A, learn, or B, don't have to do it? You can come over, 1,500, you have it done within 7 days. You take all the credit. Then there's a revisionary period. Anything goes wrong, goes sideways, you say, Alec, there's a problem. We fix it. That simple.
Alec, would you expect us to kind of take notes on what they need? Because what I'm doing is I'm using like Fathom AI note
Hmm.
taker. Is there a process that you follow? So if we get you to build it for us, like, will you tell us like before the call, um, like this is the
Yeah.
vital information that you need to kind of get from them?
Yeah, Grant's on the call. You see his comment. I actually just DM'd him an onboarding questionnaire list.
Yes, that's what okay. Yeah,
Yep.
you've answered my question. Yeah.
I just sent it over to him because he and I own he owns the agency and I'm like I've got a small stake in it. But I just sent him a list of questions and I can read you off some.
Yeah, just in case something is missed, because I'm
Yeah.
a bit like OCD. I want to kind of make
Oh
sure
yeah.
everything is
It's got
covered.
7 sections. This is just section, or it's actually got. I just sent Grant the process flow, so this does not even include the CRM and the website. This is just the process overflow. I'll just read you section 1, lead capture and qualification. Question 1: how do you typically generate leads? Website, social media referrals, door-to-door ads. Number 2: what system do you use to track and manage new leads? Number 3: do you have an automated process for following up? If so, how does it work? Number 4: how do you qualify leads before providing a quote? And then we go to section 2, quote proposal. How do you typically provide quotes? In person, over the phone, email, software? What information do you need before creating a quote? Do you require a down deposit before starting? If so, how much? Is it percent, dollar? When is it collected? Do you offer different pricing, packaging tiers? What are those tiers? What is the typical turnaround time from an inquiry to sending a quote? How do you handle price negotiations or objections from potential clients? So we go through the whole thing.
That is very good. That is very like that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking about.
Now Grant's done it so many times that he did a call on Friday and he like knocked it out of the park.
Mm,
Now that was also his third call. So call 1, he was like, I got this, and he had a lot of back and forth with the team. Call 2 was a little bit better, a little bit of back and forth, and I hopped on a call with him on Wednesday. Call
mm.
3, I didn't need to lift a finger. He did it all. So even when you have it, like you're going to mess up, The thing I always tell Grant that I love about working with him is like he puts his pride to the side very, very easily. He's just like, yes, I messed up. Yes, it sucks. He's like, I gotta go fix it. Like, what other option do I have? And I'm like, I love that because that's how I am. I'm like, who cares how I messed it up? Go fix it.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
'cause, with system build outs, it's all retention. So you got to do it perfectly. It's all about keeping them for years. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
and
retention.
how long did your call take on Friday, Grant, with Travis?
I think it was a few minutes over an hour. So like an hour and 5 minutes, probably. Yeah.
So that was like the third call you said?
That was besides the sales call, that was like the onboarding call. So that was just
Oh, okay.
it's only,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we'll have may or may not have like another. Actually, no, we probably won't, but we'll have just a showcasing call in about 2 weeks, and then it's pretty much done. And then follow-up calls every, one every 2 weeks to a month as he's like the
Mm,
actual client.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, we do a nice ramp up process because that's where you're gonna the most amount of negative feedback will be in the first month. We want them to, and Grant was on the call. He can tell you. I told the guy, I was like, dude, we want you to complain. Like complain in month one because then it'll be perfect and you'll enjoy it for the rest of your time with us. Otherwise, you're always gonna have that nagging piece of things that it's like an oyster. It's like the little grain of sand got in the mouth, and it's like we could have just removed a grain of sand, but you waited, a year, and now you got a whole pearl in your mouth. Except it's not pretty.
Mm,
So it's like let's excise that. I told him I was like, we're gonna like if you see any things that you don't like, let's excise that cancer before it becomes stage 4, right? Let's get it at stage 1 too. Even 3,
mm.
I'll even take 3, right? We don't want 4.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, speaking of websites, what would you do with a client who wants like a really high-end website? Because I'm just used to
Call
them.
Heather.
Yeah. Okay.
Call Heather.
All right. I might need to actually.
What
'Cause
I recommend with any builds is I always ask myself, like, and this is, I don't want to say it's a cop out, but this is like like Grant and I had this moment today on a call. We had a call today at 12:30, and he can tell you we usually go like an hour over because we're like always talking and trying to do things and build things out, and we finished like 24 minutes into the call, and we had like a 45-minute call. We finished like before almost the halfway mark, right? And Grant was like, "Well, do I need to do this? And how long is it gonna take?" And he was like, "When can we show it to him?" And I was like sitting there and I was like, "Oh, I gotta change this and I gotta change that." And we're looking at the automations of all the things we have to do. And I was like, "Dude, like our snapshot is so perfect that I can have this up in like 2 days." I told myself I'm gonna go back and change it, but like we just sat there and we were like, "Dude, we're like we have our product. Like our base product is like really nice. Like we can deploy this fast." And it was like we just kind of sat there like, dang. Like Grant, how long have we been doing this? Like 3 or 4 months together?
Yeah, like 4 months.
Yeah. And we had it and we're just kind of sitting there like, this is cool.
Yeah, it's just it was built around companies that offer both one-time landscaping projects and then lawn care as like a side sale. And so the product was built around the first few clients with that. And so you get another one like that and you're just like, damn, it's already done.
It's done. Yeah. All we have to do is change the custom values and the language to match their language and then the services. That's it. And the
Mm,
services are how much they're going to fluctuate. Yeah, they're landscapers.
mm,
But if you have like here's the easy answer, right? The easy answer is what is easiest for you? So like Heather and I could probably gab all day about website building, and she could probably put on a master class on the different software because I have some experience, but I probably don't have her experience nearly, right? So I could probably carry a conversation with her, but it would make more sense for me to outsource it. Now for Heather, she'd be like, why would I outsource it? I can build it. I'm probably really good at building it. Just like Alec is gonna say, I'm not gonna pay anybody to build a sales system. I can build a disgusting one in like 24 hours. So
mm.
until you are that subject matter expert, pay a subject matter expert.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to outsource it. It's just
But you gotta justify. So here's the catch: you have to charge the upfront fee to then shell out to whoever you're outsourcing.
yeah. Well,
That's the catch.
yeah. I mean,
The
even
the
if I
interesting interesting
Yeah.
thing for us is it hurts us so bad going your way. But what you pay in your UK and
Yeah.
US, the same, it's nearly double. The exchange rate is nearly double. So I
Mm.
actually found this interesting. So
Mm.
we did have international clients, but we've sort of moved away from it. But yeah, like you look at the exchange rate,
Mm.
what is 5K for us would probably only be 2.5 for you, two,
Mm.
three,
Yeah.
which is an interesting concept.
Yeah, if you're in Canada, you're definitely feeling it right now.
Yep.
The Canadian guys are probably crying somewhere, wiping their eyes with coins. They can't even do it with dollar bills anymore.
That guy, that call I had today he was Canadian.
Yeah, that I know that's interesting when you said that. I'm like, oh, and he's still shopping. Like, hey, good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
with
interesting times.
yeah, and watch this. Like, Heather, and if you don't want to respond, Heather, maybe Adrian can. Aside from your labor costs, like just software alone, how much does it cost to fulfill on a new website? Like, ignore labor time, like just the software you're paying for.
Most of it's a fixed cost that we're already paying for, adding the hosting, but then that's a separate monthly amount anyway. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's like nothing,
yeah,
right?
And all our hosting is US based, all the systems, and when we have to
Mm.
pay, sorry, the softwares, sorry, are US based, and we just look at what's this software, it's in US, and we'll double it.
Yeah, yeah. So that probably doesn't feel great too much.
it'd be
But the
super nice to get some websites in
yeah,
US or
yeah, the U.S. clients are the
UK.
best because they the dollar conversion is nice. But my point is, Adelina, like for Heather, the investment is her time,
Yeah,
Mm.
right? So you have to
And
pick between time investment or cash investment.
yeah, yeah, true.
Starting out, it's gonna be painful either way.
Yeah. Do you guys like, I mean, when you're like in talks with a client for a new website, do they ask you to send them like a sample or whatever? Or do you just or do you say like give me an example of, a website you would like?
yeah, we go through a few different websites in their niche to see what they like, what kind of
Ah, okay.
feel they like, just get ideas and
Yeah.
yeah, but we do show people websites we've built. It's not something we get requested very often. We just kind of, as an
Yeah.
example, hey, this is what we did. Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so that's our first process. What's the look and feel that you want? Heather will ask that, and Heather will come back and then create what she calls some style tiles to go, do you like this? Do you like that? We can mix them all together. The client comes back and goes,
Mm.
gives us the direction.
What do you use for that, Heather? You use Figma or something? Canva?
And
Canva.
Mm, yeah.
Finally,
It's
everyone
the
everyone I
best.
know does Figma. I'm like looking for my Canva people.
Yeah. Mm.
One of the guys that coming on, well, sorry, that works with us, he's a Figma guy, and I'm looking at Figma, and I'm like, oh, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
but what's funny too is like with Heather doing the Canva templates like as a preview, that's way faster than the website. So she's literally doing a minimum viable
Mm,
product to convey value, and then she builds
yeah.
it out. That's the same thing I do with the flow chart. And what's funny is the flow chart, if you use Zapier or Make, they're flows. It's literally flow. Like this happens, goes here, goes here, goes here. So it's a visual representation of what you're going to build.
mm.
Do
This
you like
client.
Zapier or
What's that?
Yeah, go on, sorry.
I was just
Wh-
gonna say, do you prefer Zapier or Make, or it just depends?
Whatever the client takes, whatever the client likes. And I'll
Yeah.
see the big thing I do is I go to Make. I think Make is a little cheaper. So I'll usually start with Make. You can even go to N8N. So for example, anybody have somebody who does missed call text backs, and they have an Android phone? So if you have an Android missed call text back, go look at I no, it's IFTTT. If this,
Yeah.
then that. IFTTT. They have automations where you can actually port their Android number over and have the missed call from there. So that's actually a pretty cool trick. But I basically start with Make because Make is pretty easy. And then I see does this app connect? If the answer is no, Zapier has it. That's usually it. So I go, does Make have it? No. Does Zapier have it? No. Do they have open API and webhooks that I can do within Zapier or even GHL? No, we're not using this. That's usually how it goes.
Mm.
No, if they don't have it, one thing we do if they don't have any connection, if they're like really weird about their API, we'll run it in GHL and then we'll just create tasks that say, hey, add this customer in your system. Here's all the information to cross over. So that's like bare bones, like not fun, but if they're really hung up on it, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry to
to
interrupt.
no, you're good.
Adelina, you had something else to say?
Oh no, I was just saying like this client actually it was a like a cold call. Um and I was just going through web people who don't have a website. And what I did is I mistyped the website and thinking he didn't have a website because it obviously didn't come up. And then when I called him, uh, and I said, "Oh yeah, it looks like you don't have a website." And he was like, "Yeah, we do have a website, but lately it's not been working, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay."
And it still
It
worked.
it was, you know, it was so strange, like, and I've even got like a recording of this on. It's quite embarrassing. So basically, he said, "Yeah, but we are interested in a new website actually." And I was like, "Okay, well, I can build you out a sample one." So I just did it in like a day on Go High Level. And then when I got on the call, I did a screen share and I showed him the website, blah blah blah. He was like, "Did you have a look at my website?" And I was like, "But I thought it wasn't working." And I was like, "So what?" He typed it onto the chat, and when I opened it, it was so good, the website, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." So now, like, I have to kind of, but he still wants the website. He sent me a voice note today. Alec, when I was asking you something
Oh yeah,
completely
yeah.
different. Yeah, he sent me a WhatsApp voice note to say like, "Oh yeah, I've spoken to my business partner and we want to go ahead with the website. We also want a little bit of SEO." And now I'm thinking if he said he's going to call me tomorrow, but I'm thinking, should I just be honest and say, "Look, I really don't think you need a website. I think you need like leads and
All right, watch
basically
this. Watch
go
this.
in with a conversion."
Let me show
I
everybody
don't
but
know.
Adelina how stupid coaching is. Okay. When people tell you like I'm a grade A let me show you how stupid coaching is. Adelina, what do you think you should do? Trust your gut. Ignore any common sense that you may think we've imparted on you. What do you think? What does your gut tell you? Sell them a website or tell them what they have is good.
Oh God, this is actually I'm going with my like I'm just honest. Like I want to be honest and just don't want to take the money off him and just want to give him what he needs, like the SEO, because I know that he will stay longer if he sees the value in what, with the sales conversion thing that we learned.
Hmm. So verdict, website or keep his website or toss it. What's the verdict?
Would everyone still push for the new website?
No, what do you say? I don't even want them to reply.
Oh
Anybody
God.
replies, I'm gonna kick you. What does Adelina
I
say?
know I'm stupid, but I wouldn't.
No, that's exactly the right answer.
Yeah? Okay. Wow.
He said his
So
website wasn't working. Have you asked him what wasn't working about it? Is
No,
it just not
it
converting?
was
Or
well, he thought it wasn't well, he thought there was something wrong with it. I don't know. He's not very tech minded. So he
so
is
owns
he not getting?
a solar company.
Yeah,
Um
so why is it not working? Why does he think it's not working? Because he's not getting leads?
no, not like that, but I think there was an issue or something like that. Like with a server. That's what he was thinking in his mind when we got on the
Yeah.
call. And then he was like, "Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work, blah blah blah, it doesn't load or whatever."
Okay.
And then when he typed it onto the chat and I opened it, I was like, "This is such a good website. Like, wow." In
Yeah.
my mind, I was thinking, "You don't even need a website." But he had an issue with, and then when I asked him more, he actually the issue he had was getting in more work, which is what every business owner really wants,
right.
right?
So
Mm.
check it out. I want SEO. Why? Watch
Mm,
this. You want to hear? You want to see the ultimate sales exercise? Watch this. I want blorp blorp.
mm,
Why?
yeah.
Somebody could tell me I want some off the wall thing that I don't even understand, that I don't even know. And instead of me saying like, well, what is that? I'm gonna say, why do you need that? Context clues. Why do you need that?
Mm,
Well, I think I need that because of A, B, and C. So number one, watch this. Ready? Number one, I think the website's not working. I had a call. I told you about this. The guy who 4 minutes in, I canceled the call because I'm like, you don't need me. Could
Mm.
I have lied to him and tried to manipulate him into it? Sure, but just like you said, where's that going to go? You think I can send the guy I lied to an email 3 months later about a referral? No, he's going to be like, stay away from this weirdo, right?
Mm.
So I told him that you don't need it. And he goes, oh,
Yeah.
well, but my SEO is not working. How do you know your SEO is not working? I'm not getting leads from this region. Great. You know what's funny? I called up Bill. Okay, this is a true story. Ask him about it. I called up Bill. I said, Bill, can you do an audit for me? I'll pay you for it. He's like, don't pay me for it. Let me just take a look. Takes a look. SEO is perfect. But he just told me SEO is not working. Why? Because the customer is wrong. Now, there's three things the customer will tell you. Are you ready?
Mm.
Here's the symptom. It's causing this. I want to fix it. They're always wrong about the symptom. Or they're always right about the symptom. They're always wrong about the conclusion. Always. My car's making a noise. I think it's the brake pads. Can you change the brake pads? Now, a bad salesperson is going to go, yeah, we'll do exactly what you tell me to do. Is that going to fix the problem? No. So what are they going to do?
Mm.
They're a bad mechanic. And what's the mechanic going to say? We did what you told us to do.
Yeah.
They're always right about the symptom, and that's it.
Yeah.
You ever, let's be honest, who's been to WebMD and you're like, you get the symptoms back and it's like you've got stage 17 cancer and your leg is going to fall off in 10 minutes, right? Now you typed in the right symptom, right? Or what about the men? Men, let's be honest, you get the man cold and you're just bedridden, you can't move, right? Heather's like having to serve you like a king and he's got like sniffles. Meanwhile, she's like, she's got like the avian bird flu or something and she's like still, doing everything, right? That's like typical, like, if you're married, you've seen that too many times, right? Right? The symptom is there. It's the guy was, and what does every man say? Oh, I think I'm dying. Like like this is the end. Like update the will, right? Call the lawyers. It's like they're wrong about it. The symptom is right. So you got to find out, okay, what's actually happening? This is the symptom I'm feeling. Where's that going to? Think about you go to a doctor's office. There's pages of paperwork. Do you have a history of this? Does your dad? I remember one. It was like, do you have a history of this on your dad's side? Or do you have a history of this on your mom's side? Do you have? Does your grandpa have this? Does your grandma have this? I'm like, holy cow, right? They ask for everything. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand what is wrong,
Mm.
not what do you think is wrong. Because I'm telling you right now, you're wrong every time. And
Mm.
watch this. Ready? How do we know they're wrong every time? Because this is not just Alec being like those, you know, arrogant salespeople. How do we know they're wrong? Because
Because
if
the
they're
pain
right,
is
they would have
closer.
fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
That's it. If you're right, you would have fixed it.
Yeah. I think he's got a very big pain point.
Huge. He's about to throw away
Huge
a
pain point.
beautiful website.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He thinks that is the answer. So tomorrow, hopefully he calls and because he said he'll follow up with a call. And I think I'm just yeah, I'm just gonna that's what I was thinking in my mind before the call, like should I just be honest and say like, look, I
100%.
really don't think you need a website. That is
You,
what my gut is telling me
you,
because I don't want to just sell it and it's
you
not going
should
to
be
fix.
honest. You should be honest,
Yeah.
even if it costs you a sale, you should be honest.
Yeah. I yeah. That means to
100%.
me more, to be honest with you.
And not only that, the right person will pick up on that. I heard this story where this guy was handling a data server for a hospital. They just called him in. He set it up. They were a small startup. And I think they were processing something like 1 million pieces of data every day. Or no, I'm sorry. It was 1 million pieces of data every hour. It was like an insane amount of data every hour. And at one
Mm.
point, they realized their server went down for 3 minutes and they lost something like 300,000 lines of data. And they said they had the startup. This was a huge client, and they had this conversation between the founders like, do we tell the client? There's so much data, maybe they missed it. And they said the right thing to do, even if we lose this client, is to tell them.
Mm.
So they set up a
Yeah.
meeting, and they went in there sad, like the dog that got in trouble, and like we need to talk to you, and they're really nervous, and the customer's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? He's like, listen, here's what happened. And they said the client just sat there and then just burst out laughing. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, they're so mad. They're so mad they're laughing. Like that's how bad it is." They said the people that we left to come to you guys, their server would be down for days and they wouldn't say a word to us. They said your server was down for 3 minutes and you came and brought us everything. That just tells us we made the right choice.
Mm.
Like the server's gonna go down. But it was like the cool. It's just so funny because they were like they went in there knowing they could like their whole thing could be done, and they're like, we got to do the right thing. So the reason why, Adelina, I told you only to answer that question is because a
Mm,
big part of coaching is I'm going to ask you the questions that you're already asking yourself, but I'm going to
mm,
force you to make a choice, 80/20 principle, full circle moment.
mhm, mhm,
I'm going to force you to make a choice in limited time. And what that's going to do is that's going to teach you the most important thing ever, always trust your gut. Because if you
mm,
always trust your gut, here's what's going to happen. You're going to A, make mistakes, and you're going to say, I need it. Your gut will learn. Or B, you're right, and you reinforce your gut. Either
mm,
way, your self-confidence will go up
mm. Yeah.
in a
Well,
not an arrogant way, but it'll go up in a positive way.
yeah, yeah.
Always trust your gut. Like I said, that guy I got in the call with, by the way, that was a $6,900 client. 4 minutes in, I said, "You don't need this, man." So I went from, I kid you not, this is a true story. Went from I'm telling a story that makes me not look great. Went from 6,900 to no sale, and then he said, "Well, things are wrong." I said, "Well, you know what? What if I just did an audit for you, and I could just tell you what's wrong and what to fix, and you can just fix it on your own?" He's like, "Yeah, that'd be perfect." $200. So I went from 6,900 to zero to $200. Now 200, I've been doing this for a while. That's not a great sale, but it's better than zero, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
and it gives him enough actionable steps where he walks away. If he applied what I told him to do, that's going to lead into a lot more money because he had some things off with his flow. So he's going to make money. He'll come back and he'll do one of three things. That worked. I did nothing with it. I now need your help. That's it. That's all he can do. I either did
mm,
nothing and I'm stuck and I need your help, or he's going to say, I did something, it made me money. I want to do more, right?
mm. Yeah.
But trust your gut. If he comes in and just tell him, like, listen, your website is beautiful.
Mm,
And you know what's here's the fun part when you're honest. You can be overly honest. You can be like,
mm,
listen, your website's beautiful. I was embarrassed to show you what I made you because of how beautiful that is. Now, what I
mm,
will tell you is that I actually don't specialize in websites. I specialize in sales machines, sales systems.
mm,
And if you know they have a good website and you know they have good cash flow, have a nice little setup fee, explain the process, map it out, turn around. Again, I'm going to pitch you, turn around, pay Alec a portion of it, charge a way bigger fee. Alec comes in, I record, we do the whole thing, record the whole thing. You now have your snapshot, you have your process, you're more confident, you go out and do it.
mm, mm. I'm happy
That's,
to let you build it, honestly.
there you go.
Absolutely happy to do that.
And then here's the benefit for me. I'm not getting $7,000. I'm not getting $10,000. I'm getting 1,500, but Adelina is going to stay in the group because she gets a huge discount by staying in the group. And Adelina is going to have clients. So Adelina's business is going to be alive as long as she has a client. And she's going to have a
Mm,
good client if I make a good product, which I know I have. And the biggest thing is you can get those reports. So I'm making money because you're staying with me. You're
mm,
making money because they're staying with you, and you're paying me because they're staying with you. And they're going to stay with you because not only do we set it up, but we put in reporting.
mm.
Remember,
Win-win.
it's a triple win. We don't do zero sum games here. It's a triple win, right?
Mm,
And we do reporting. That's the number one offer you should always have is data.
mhm.
Because they're like, think about it. I don't know what's wrong. When you have data reporting come to you, how can you not know? Pop up in your email. It's right there. Here's your
Yeah.
GBP. Here's your Google Analytics. Here's your Facebook Analytics. Here's your conversion. Here's your sales team's performance. Here's your reviews. Like you see the whole thing in one email.
Mm, yeah.
Big teams, they get the email. Big sales teams, really big sales teams, they get the email every morning. I kid you not. End
Mm,
of day, every morning. End of day or every morning. Moderate teams, every week. Small teams, once a month. There you go.
mm. And is it even possible to pitch this via phone call? Because this guy is quite busy and
Yeah. Watch this. Hey, you're really busy. Check it out. Your website is beautiful. You might not think so. I'm telling you right now, it is stunning. It is beautiful. That's not the problem. Now, your
mm,
SEO might be the problem, but here's the bigger problem. You have no idea what it is. So
mm,
here's what I'm thinking we do. I think we should set you up a sales system that's going to track all of your leads, all of your sales efforts, all of your conversions. It's going to do follow-ups. It's going to handle your objections. Basically, it's going to put money in your back pocket with leads you're already generating. Once
mm,
we can look at all that, we can look at how do we improve your conversions, your objection handling, your reviews, your referrals, and your SEO traffic. Now,
mm,
if you want to make more money with the leads you're already getting in, let's book a time where we can talk just the two of us. Again, I know it's the middle of the workday. I don't want to hold you up. Would you be against doing that?
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. What was that, like
Okay.
45 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And notice I gave you, remember when we were messaging, what do I tell you? Here's the problem, here's the solution, here's the impact, here's my call to action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you do 45 seconds with 4 lines, it's about what, 11 seconds a piece?
Mm.
That's an elevator pitch right there.
Yeah. And if they sometimes, they ask for the price, would you tell them on that phone call, or would you kind
Here,
of give
what
them
do
a
they do?
range?
What do they do?
Solar panels installations.
Oh yeah, what are those like
They-
20K?
yeah, high ticket. Yeah.
Okay, check this out. You be them, I be you. Ready? Ask me how much it
Okay.
costs.
How much does it cost?
Well, let me ask you this. How much is one lead worth to you?
20K?
20K. Great. So if we brought you one client a month, 20K, that would be pretty quality, or what are we looking at getting a month?
That would be amazing. Just one lead a month.
Great. So our sales system is only 300 a month with a $1,500 setup, with a $2,000 setup. It's focused on the conversion, which means if we get you one client within 1 month, you're going to be net positive before we even kick this thing off.
Mm.
And I'll tell you this, if you don't get a sale within 3 months, assuming that the traffic you've told me is accurate, I'll fire myself.
Mm. Okay. Perfect.
I want to
But
price anchor everything.
I'd obviously have to ask him his numbers, right?
And you can do that before he gets to that point, which is why if you remember
Yeah.
the sales pitch, we always ask
Yeah.
before we get to the
Yeah, yeah.
financials,
Oh,
because
yeah,
then
yeah,
I can
yeah.
take their answers and I can throw them back at them. So
Yeah,
if they go, oh,
exactly.
that's a lot of money, I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you just tell me one lead is worth 4,000?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So if I get you one
it's
person that
clicking.
covers, yeah, if I get you one person, does that not cover the whole setup fee? Notice I'm not going to
Mm,
say it covers. I'm going to say, does that not?
mm, okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And if they say, oh, it takes a long time, I can say, listen, how many are you closing right now a month? Because I've already asked that question, right? How many are you closing a month? Let's say 3. So, and how much, and you have salespeople doing that? Yeah. What do you pay your salespeople? I pay them 20%. I pay them 3K a month. Cool. So you're going to have a fourth salesperson that's working 24/7, connects with your people, handles the objection proactively, sets up all these conversations, and it's only going for a tenth of what you're paying these guys to do.
Mm,
And let me ask you, how long do you train your salespeople? A couple months. That's what they're going to say.
mm,
So if you give me a couple months and we don't get these results, I'll can myself. How about that?
mm,
I'll fire myself.
yeah. Or even like a money back guarantee or something. I don't know.
If
Like
if
within
if,
three.
if I don't, yeah, you could even say if I don't make you a sale within 3 months, not only will I stop charging you, but I'll stay with you until we make you one sale and then I'll leave.
Mm,
So you're guaranteed to make your money back.
yeah. Way more, actually. Yeah.
Way more, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
And if you have me set it up, then it's going to work.
Mm,
I've never had anybody, like, this is not an arrogance thing. I've never had anybody come in that did not communicate with me, not make it work and stay. Never. And this is not because Alec is a genius. It's because Alec recognizes that he's not a genius. And I say, what are you guys doing that works? Let's just systemize that. And then they go, this is what they go every time. That's so stupid. Why didn't we think of it? And I go, well, I'm glad you didn't think of it because otherwise I wouldn't be paid, right? I'd be, I don't know, working at a gas station.
mm. Yeah, no, that's I'm ready to kind of go in with that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And if you don't, one thing I would do with you, with anybody, if you're setting up follow-up calls, watch this. Here's what I do every time, right? Adeline, I did this with a guy on the call with Grant. Grant can tell you. I literally had the phone up to the mic like this, and he can tell you. And I literally said, at what point? He said, I want to talk to my wife. I said, when are you going to talk with your wife? He said, tonight. Okay. So I said, here's the deal. I said, take not only tonight, I said, I'm so confident in this. I said, don't take just tonight, take 2 nights and think about it. I said, if I don't hear from you by Friday noon, I'll call you Friday 3 p.m. How does that sound? He's like, yeah, that'd be perfect. Great. Now, I think he's a little underqualified as a client, but I use that tactic all the time. When should I hear by you? You're going to hear by me by X time. Great. If I don't hear from you by X, I will contact you at Y. I'm not going to wait on you.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true actually, because yeah, I with cold calling, I get that a lot. Um, like yeah, I'll call you back. They never do, but they appreciate it when you call them back. So
Read Ultimate Sales Machine.
I'm
Every two
reading it
weeks.
now. I'm reading it now. It's
Grant and I have he has a group that he put together. Every time he's a new training, we follow the exact same flow, and he reaches out. He speaks to every single person either by sharing a document, engaging in his the comments of his posts, sharing the video, or DMing them, or they DM him. There's 5 ways that he can conversate with them. He speaks with every group member every 3 to 4 weeks, and we just started doing this.
Yeah.
And once he started doing it, I think the week that he did it, he was like, "Oh, I've got 3 calls lined up."
Yeah, I DM'd all 300 people. So
wow.
But that was the same week where I told him the week before. I said, "Hey, we're ready. Let's get some sales calls going." He was like, "Great. What do we do?" I said, "We should try this, this, and this." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm gonna try this and that." I'm like, "That's a great idea. Go for it." Because Grant has a lot of ideas he puts forth. And I'm like, "Try it out." Next week, he goes, "We got 3 calls lined up." Closed one of them. Did his onboarding. Nailed it. And if you're doing YouTube videos, it takes pressure off of you because now he only has to do a YouTube video every 2 to 3 weeks. Because during the time in between the videos, he's doing his follow up and outreach. So he drops a video. 1 week is straight follow up. We talked about it today. 5 day sequence that he does. Straight reaching out, pushing the thing. And then once he gets to the last day, it's like a 3 day period because he has to DM so many people without getting blocked. So let's say it's an 8 day period. Once that 8 day period is done, we write it, we record it, we edit it, we upload it. Every 2 to 3 weeks.
rinse and repeat. And then we'll add sales reps into the group eventually and etc.
And guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the exact same thing he's doing. He just doesn't have to do it anymore. So you talk about follow-ups. We follow up. Like once you come in the group, you're getting followed up with every 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't
I'll
like it,
have people I'll have people that like promised or not really promised. They said they were interested in a call and then they'll start ghosting me and then I'll be relentless with follow up and then some of the messages I'll just be straight up. I'll be like, "Hey, I'm pretty like ruthless when it comes to this follow up thing. So either give me a clear yes or no. I'm gonna keep messaging you."
I really like that.
Yeah.
You have to be.
and what's funny is they say no, he puts out a training, they'll come back. But we'll go ahead and wrap up. It's definitely been a long live. I love these calls with you guys. Um, Adelina, I think you got a pretty good. You're definitely grasping it really nicely.
Yeah,
On your
yeah.
call tomorrow, trust your
Yeah,
gut. Now, when you trust your gut, be confident with your gut. If it's your gut, own it. That's why I like
yeah,
developing your gut. If you just listen to Alec, you'll never develop your gut. I'll be a crutch.
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be a crutch. I love
Mm,
don't get me wrong. I love when you guys pay me money. I love it. But
mm,
I don't want to be a crutch. I wouldn't be upset if you said I'm doing really well. I'm out of here. Love it. I'll hold the poster as you fly off, right? But develop your gut. So when you own it, own it. They don't need a website. Why? Tell them with conviction.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
got you got boys, right? I've got a daughter, but you got boys. You know you got to
Yeah.
tell them with the
I've
conviction.
actually got two daughters and one boy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
You got so
yeah.
you've got to
So
tell them with
yeah,
conviction. It's not
yeah,
like, oh, it's time for bed now.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Yeah, if you
yeah,
got parents, if you got kids, you know, right? You tell them, all right, bedtime, and then bed now, right? Like,
yeah. I need
what's
to be like that with the clients, actually. I think I'm too nice.
exactly what I was going to tell you. You've got to be
Yeah,
like that with the clients.
yeah, yeah. You know what? It's quite strange actually, because I've got a few like warm leads who I said I would call you back, but because before I actually watched the 3 hour video, I was so confused. I was like, I'm gonna call them back, but
What?
my gut was telling me like I don't know how do I pitch it? Like, what do they need the website? But if I offer the website, then what could I offer on top? Should I do reviews?
Yeah.
Blah blah. I was just so confused. So now I know that I'm gonna go back to those and just kind of pitch it with conviction.
And it gives you liberty too, because I said sales system, and that can be website. Grant and I mapped it out when we were talking. It's no, I think you and I did too. Yeah, you and I
Mm.
did the same thing that Grant and I did. We talked about website, sales system,
Yeah.
domain, phone number, GVP. So there's a lot of things that do go in there.
Yeah, yeah, there are. Yeah, yeah. It's just not like I didn't have that sense of direction. I just thought, okay, this is what they need without kind of, asking more questions and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing what a week can do. Like watching that video, because I think Patricia, you were asking about that. That video, I've started to watch it again, and now I'm getting it more. It's starting to click more, and then you get
I'm embarrassed to
ideas like,
admit
oh,
that I left it playing like all the entire night. Like it's been playing consistent. I don't know if you get paid, but
yeah,
you're getting paid, Alec, because it's been playing since like
yeah. I
eight
hope
I'm
you
o'clock
do
very,
get
very
last
paid.
close. I'm very close.
eight
I hope
o'clock
you do
last
get paid.
night. Yeah, I was playing it just and I kept rewinding it and I kept rewinding it and then I'd fall asleep and I'd rewind it back to where I remembered I was at. And yeah, it's
Soon.
been
I'm very close to being monetized, but
yeah.
the yeah, that's the big thing. It's like, I'll say this and then we'll wrap up the call, but the best thing you can do if you want to sell anything, it's who am I selling to and what are they trying to achieve and
Mm,
how am I doing that? And we were talking about, your trip to Zurich, right? If this were 100 years ago, plane would not be an option, right?
mm,
Maybe
mm,
not safely at least, right? It might be boat or boat then train or train, right?
mm,
Uh, that'd be your mode of transportation. So you're selling the plane ticket as, relative to the train, yes, but it's just getting there. You're selling the destination. Once
mm,
they buy into the destination, you become the vehicle,
mm. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So when
exactly.
so as as businesses evolve, as the tech evolves, it's very easy of what to add. What are they trying to do? How can we help them do it better, faster, quicker, cheaper,
Hmm.
easier, better quality, right? It's just improvement metrics.
I
AI
think
agents come
for
out. What is that going to do? It's going to take calls better. It's going to do the work for you. What's the end goal? The business is running well, making money, good experience for everybody, so I can live my dream life. That's it.
Yeah.
I think for me, because I'm a business owner, Alec, and I'm in the group with all the people. So like I'm consistently like I'm interacting with them on a business level. Like I own a business, you own a business. Hey, let's talk chop or whatever. Um, they just like a lot of them that want to do high level, like they just know why they want to do it. I don't even think they know what their problem is or that it's a problem or they're having a problem, right? It's a new fad and it's great and everybody's, you know,
Mhm.
doing it. And so then they just want it too.
Right. So this is why when Heather and I were talking about the forms,
Hmm.
I kind of interrupted her and I said, "Zoom out. What are we trying to do?" When Adelina was stuck, I said, "Zoom out. What are we trying to do?" That's the best thing you can do because it's like we're arguing over not arguing, but like let's be dramatic. We're arguing over like details and not like destination. So we might have completely different destinations. It's like, well, of course we're arguing over details because you're talking about driving to the gas station and I'm talking about driving to the grocery store.
Okay.
So what are we trying to do? Oh, we're trying to go actually to the grocery store. Okay, great. So here's what I recommend. And then Heather can go, oh, now I see. Because I was thinking, the petrol station, right? Is that what you guys call it? I think. I'm watching Peppa Pig and Bluey, and I don't know. There's some overlap,
Yeah.
some confliction. So zooming out is the biggest first thing you can do. Now watch this. Patricia, if I could have your cleaning business run for you, you're making the same money you're making now, but your profits are increasing month over month and your team is happy and your clients are happy. Would you care how I did that? As long as it wasn't anything unethical, would you care how I did that?
No.
Okay, would you care if I put on a tutu and some ballerina slippers and I danced clockwork or I went in a clockwise direction and then counterclockwise direction. And just by doing that, it did the whole thing. Would you care that I did it that way?
No.
Great. So why does high level matter?
Good point.
So again, that's not to you, but that's what I'm doing is I'm dividing high level as the destination and I'm repositioning it as the vehicle.
Mm,
Now, when you have the scam affiliates, they position it as the destination because they don't know they don't have the vehicle to get to the destination they wanted, so that becomes the destination vehicle. They just regurgitate what they go through. When you have a fake coach, he's just regurgitating what got him to buy someone's coaching package. When you have the manifestation people, really sorry if you guys like manifestation, I'm cannot stand it. But if you're the manifestation people, you're just trying to manifest the same thing. Like you're just trying to, maybe something happened. You're like, oh yeah, there's, CIA has a document on how it works. It's like, okay, that's really cool. I can't stand the manifestation coaches because it's like, what am I? Even if it did work, what am I paying you to do? To read to me the document? Like I don't need it, right? So when you
I
have those things, it's like, what are we trying to achieve? Because when you have a common goal, then watch how people in their really creative ways do these things. I can tell Heather, here's how I would do it. Again, I'm divided from her clientele. She might say, I'm going to take what Alec told me and make it my own. That's what I want her to do. I want her to use that brain that got her and Adrian where they are to make it her own. I just want to be the spring, if you will, right?
Yeah, no, I remember my buddy I told you that I was reconnecting with. He's just starting to build apps more so now, but he got his foot in the door doing like selling automations to random companies, and he wasn't using nothing like high level. He was just stacking Make with WordPress with a phone service, you know. But it's the same thing, you know. High level is just a tool, just like anything.
Yeah, high level could die tomorrow, and I'm gonna pivot and I'm gonna use Jotform, Zapier Make, WordPress. I'm gonna go Elementor because I'm basic. Sorry, Heather. And I'm probably gonna do some typical, hosting. And there you go.
And I'm gonna turn all my clients over to you.
There you go. I'm gonna do Twilio for my phone, right? I'm just gonna connect everything via, one central place, and that's gonna be through Zapier. And then I'm gonna systemize my process, and that's it. Like it doesn't matter. Before high level, if you guys know me from the early days, I was using Zoho 1 before they gutted their package.
Hmm.
They gutted Zoho, I went over to high level. Didn't stop me at all.
There was a post on High Level actually about someone was panicking saying, what if, you know, go high level like basically dies? What do I do with my clients? Blah blah blah. So there's a difference, like people like Alec, or anyone else here, that you know how to kind of pivot away.
Hmm. Because the only thing that we're worried about is what are they trying to achieve. So
Mm,
now look at Heather and Adrian, right? They're doing website creation. That is the end goal, right? That's part of the destination for other reasons because the destination is also part of the journey, right? Although I don't know, you know, woohoo guru talking, right? But if WordPress goes down, right, and what's the big WordPress hoster that WP Engine, right? You guys have been
Yeah.
keeping up with all that stuff. WP Engine goes. Heather and
Yep.
Adrian are like, oh, we have our own hosting. We'll just pivot over here. Maybe that's even why they moved in the first place. Maybe they had an issue with a hoster and they're like, hey, you know what? Or they're just like, oh, easy money. Let's, do the hosting and we actually believe in our product much more now. Who knows? WordPress could go down. It won't, but it could go down. Heather, how many other platforms do you know how to use? You probably could use Squarespace. You could probably use Webflow, uh, probably things I've never even heard of.
Yeah, you'd figure it out.
Yeah, you just figure it out.
Mhm.
The end goal is all that matters.
mhm.
And so that's why when the new people come in, I'm like, what is the pain that you have that is going to push you to achieve your end goal no matter what? Because a lot of the new guys come in, the real young guys especially, they come in, they're like, oh, this didn't happen the exact way. It wasn't perfect. I'm out.
Or
I
it
want
was
people. Yeah, go ahead.
it was like what was his name? Imran. Remember Imran? He was like you're just like, bro, delete your high level account. You're doing this instead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, you don't even need high level. Like you're doing. He's a phenomenal video editor. I'm like, bro, you don't even need that. Like you could technically run it for your agency, but you don't even need that. But you'll have people like I'll have like people come in and they're like, if everything doesn't happen perfectly, I'm out. It's like it doesn't work. I am, and that's what I was telling Grant before he hopped on the call. I'm the kind of person who I'm like, what are you trying to achieve? Make it happen. It doesn't matter how. Oh no, this road is shut down. Like think about the analogy I always use is this, and then I definitely got to jump. The analogy I use is this: you got to pick up your mom from the airport. A highway is shut down. What do you do? Sorry, mom.
No, you find a way around.
Bingo. But then when you translate it to an agency level, it's like, oh no, the phone isn't working. It's like add a different phone thing. The AI chatbot is not working. High level, you got to fix it. Throw in Zappy Chat. Throw in, one of the 50 other chatbots. Who cares? Oh no, I can't do it this way. Do it that way. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like, who cares how you do it? Just make it happen. But I think so many people, and that's why I tell Grant all the time. Like, I gotta be Grant doesn't take it like that at all because he and I are pretty similar. But I tell a lot of people, I'm like, I gotta be very careful because I have a military background. So in the military is like, get it done. I don't care how. Like we gotta move this, 1,000-pound thing. It's like there's 20 of you. Pick it up and move it. Like just like what are you telling me for? You're like, oh crap, like this is gonna suck. Yeah, move it. Right? There's only two of us. Make it happen. Right? Like I don't figure it out. Like I think that mentality shifted over to this so well, and so many people don't have that.
That's
And
probably why a lot of people in the military uh, are entrepreneurs, I don't know if anyone's
Yeah.
noticed that.
That or homeless, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not, I don't know.
I can say that. I'm a
Good.
veteran. I'm just
A
messing.
good I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like it's important to be able to, it's a good mindset, I guess,
Yeah.
to say, to always think, how can I make it happen? If it
Yeah.
can't happen that way,
It's
how
like
can
a combination of resiliency and will, like
Yeah.
sheer unstoppable will.
Yeah.
Like the
What was
person
it
who wears
from
like
the sales book? Oh, pig-headed discipline.
pig-headed discipline, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the guy who has to walk 3 miles to work at a shift at Burger King. That is near unparalleled work, right? The mom who's got to like hold the kids and carry the jug of water on her head. That's like people talk about, like, especially Americans talk about like, oh, it's too hard. It's like you have no will because you've experienced no pain. If you can channel that pain, it's like now you're on fire because you got no option you got to pick up your mom from the airport. You got to get water for your kids. You got to walk to work. There's no option. So, and that's just attack it, right? But we'll go ahead and wrap up. Appreciate you guys coming out. I'm going to go put the little one to sleep. And Patricia, I saw your comment. I'll make a post on that. If you can, do you mind shooting me a DM so I don't forget, please? Just because I got to
Yeah, I'll
follow.
just post it on the group so everybody can see
Perfect.
it.
Thank you.
All right.
But all right, guys, have a good night or
Cool.
Night.
good morning for my Australian
Bye,
friends.
everyone. Thanks.